1, 2, 3. Colin,
Hey,
what's up?
all right.
Like you look so surprised.
I don't know. We start yet?
Yeah, we start. Colin John Jenkins, father, architect, entrepreneur, social media influencer. You consider yourself one?
Not really.
Come on. Why are you always so modest?
Why shouldn't I be?
Nah, man. You don't pass modesty, man. Right now, you're a general, you're a superstar. Anyway, you go, it's like, mommy, Colin.
No, it's not the combo. Don't let the fatigues fool you.
And they commandante today.
Yeah,
I like it. I felt like I should have had one as well too.
Hasta la revolución siempre.
Ya tú sabes, claro.
Okay.
Be careful now, cause right.
Don't worry, you won't be on any sanctions.
But what's up, bro?
I'm alright.
Everything
Thanks
good?
for the invite. Yeah. I was just a little tired. I had a long day. You know, I'm have a busy schedule. How that go?
See, the superstar boy. Busy schedule. Almost. Man, when you say you almost to make it, we just had to make sure the scheduling was right. I kind of called him last minute, but you know, you always pulled you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm having a bit of the itis.
How so? We had
a burger from my boys and them out, you know, menace and them guys.
Oh, wow, nice. Delis.
The slap way boy, right? Yeah, try to keep my eye open.
It's all good, man. Colin, somebody that I've known from since I went to Cuba. You know, when we were going to Cuba, you guys made sure you came through and, you know, gave us a general understanding of what was to be expected at Cuba. Though some was scared of the advice that you guys gave.
Really?
I felt some was scared, man. So I remember when we did the first like interview, like the session, it had like maybe like about 100 and something people. By the time it time for come on the plane, it was down to about 85.
Wow.
86.
Okay.
So I was kind of glad that happened because one, you know, some people you just understand, okay, I'm gonna cut off for that. You understand? But I like how candidly you guys came through, you know, spoke to us. When we got there, you guys made sure, like, for Antigua Independence, make sure you come through, support, see what's up, touch base, make sure that everything was good. So it's somebody that I always respected, and it was only right that, you know, Dan TV launched with Alan Seaton, first interview. But we're on a hiatus because, again, building out this new studio. So it's only right that coming back into this space, you know, I had somebody like you yourself on the show. Oh,
well, blessings and thanks for that. The studio looks pretty good. I'm really impressed, and as a designer myself, yeah, man, enough props. Yeah, I like the setup, and I think it can reach really far, and it's good for the content business in Antigua and Barbuda. So shout out to that.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. I mean, the goal is to get this, to do this full time, you know, and also to inspire others, and hopefully others can come through and shoot their content as well too. I mean, I'm a businessman, so I got to collect everything for free.
Yeah, well,
expenses. Well, as you can see, the equipment kind of expensive.
Yeah,
so.
We need a lot of Vivian Richards up in here.
Facts, and Sir Andy Roberts and all the other sirs as well, to Curtleys and so on. But we get there in time. Hopefully, you know, them guys eat them fruits and take their vitamins and stay healthy enough that, you know, at some point we can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're cool. Problem.
All right. So again, I find you a very interesting person. So we're just gonna go through your life a little bit, and I'm gonna touch on everything. I know you're doing a big documentary at some point. So
really, I was supposed to write a book,
but
I've started. I think I'm on page 2.
Nice. You have a title already?
Do I have a title? I don't want to spoil it. Let me see if I have a title.
Oh, no, but you got something in mind.
I got something in mind.
Yeah?
I think I have something in mind.
Nice. And that's subject to change as well too, because I'm sure your book will have like about 15 chapters. Are you planning for doing part 1 and part 2? Just depends.
Just one book. But then you see, so much of my life is out there already. Is it really necessary?
You can say what you want to say, see?
Yeah.
Because I know you get right after this one book and the success after this one book, I know you can be a next book because I got to have one book with you and cinema, no.
Well, I think it was something along the line, my first 40 years or something like that.
Nice.
Right. So it's cataloging my life from my, how should I put it? My awareness of my existence. And that was a funny opening for me. Like the closest memory of me remembering that I'm existing was pretty hilarious. Because I can vividly remember hearing my brothers and sisters outside in the yard playing by the plum tree. And there was this little fellow who got up and walked out to the door, the kitchen door, and looking outside. And I had a major erection. You know? That's my first memory of existence. So I knew I was going to be somewhat
destined for greatness.
Destined for greatness, exactly.
So talking about growing up, I know you grew up in the Hatton area.
Yeah.
How was life back in that? What year was this?
This was 1980 was when I came into the world. So nice. I think by the time I was 3, I started to realize, hey, what are you doing here? I'm actually here.
Yeah.
And here was a wooden home, lab-side board, as we would say in Antigua and Barbuda. 4 children in the house, mom, dad. That was a very interesting experience. Growing up the last of 4. It's not something that I can explain in words properly, except that it has its own nuances. So one sibling with you is one way, the next sibling is another way. And so that was just that experience. But the neighborhood itself was closed off in a sense that there was Grace Farm Hatton and then there was other villages. It was very segmented in way people view the people that came from these areas, how we behaved. There was a lot of rivalry, for example, between Atta's man and Grace Farm and Hatton man and Pint man. You know, them kind of, that was the time. The rivalry was intense. Sports, just general bravado, and the dick measuring contest. You understand?
As young kids growing up, I can only listen. I can relate because I think we have the similar path with me as well too. The last of 4. 2 brothers, 1 sister.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I get along with the dynamic different with everybody.
Yeah, but I didn't see my dad much because he was a fisherman. So by the time I get up, he's out at sea already. By the time he's coming back, I'm looking to go sleep.
Yeah.
My mom worked in a hotel for a while, but then she fell down. And then the hotels back then, let's just say they weren't all that fair. So she got, fired, or I should say dismissed, or services were terminated without compensated.
Yeah.
And she had to find a cleaning job after that. And then shortly after that, the old man passed away from illness. And then that just sent everything downhill in a way. So it's
downhill in a way in terms of, because
the funny thing is my dad was not somebody that spoke a lot.
Okay.
I think I got my socialization and my speaky spokiness from my mother.
Okay.
My father didn't speak a lot. So he'll be in the house. I couldn't even tell he's in the house. He just lied in his bed and just chill. My father was a very chill man. Yeah. So the little that I remember of him is sad for me in a way because I can't remember what his voice sounds like.
He was that story. He was that like...
He spoke, but what I'm saying is I can't remember what his voice sounds like. So that's to tell you how young I was.
When he passed away?
Okay. Right? I remember certain clips of him like sitting on his lap, or this one time when he had to discipline me. Boy, they were leaving, going somewhere, and they left me home. And in my rage, I destroyed the man banana tree in the yard. So he put some good licks under me. And that was the only time he ever put a hand on me. You understand? So I remember that very, very vividly.
So much so that you never touch a next banana tree.
Dad, all in my yard, I still massaging them. I can't even cut a branch off. That is traumatic.
You can see all the banana on the tree.
Man.
It's like, yo,
right.
I can just drop off in the business.
Yeah, but I mean...
So how was... Yeah, because I know I've came across friends I could say your friends that grew up with you, like Calbert and so on.
Yeah.
And I would be like, yo, listen, Hatton back in the day.
It was crazy. I mean, I had neighbors that were in and out of prison, neighbors that domestic abuse was taking place, neighbors that they were into sound, and then neighbors that were police. It was just neighbors at the end of the corner that's selling the Sensimania. Listen, they was just
Sensimania selling back in the day.
Man, well, it was extremely hot. So I mean, there was a serious mix, and there was a situation where the kids went out into the street. They played. We had a lot of adventures. There's not a time when you leave the yard and you're coming back without a cut, something in your foot from a thorn or a cassie, as we'd say in Antigua.
Yeah.
We practically left the house 8:00 and come back by 6:00.
Facts. And like your whole 8-hour job.
Right.
Just whatever.
You know what I'm saying?
Adventure.
It was interesting, but then my mom was a staunch Christian. She still is.
Yeah.
So I had to, kind of fit into that. And that was difficult for me because I was rebelling against that. So my neighbors would be going to carnival and stuff, and I had to sit there. And I was telling my son the other day, I said, boy, you get away, because your church, whenever we do take you, and I'm a strong believer that you have to teach them a moral compass, and that's what the religious aspect is there for. Whenever we would go to church, you leave the house 8:00, because my mom was about timing. There's nobody that's going to get to the church before her. You understand? So you leave the house at 8:00, by 8:50 me in the church, but you're not leaving until 1:30. So that was my life. And then you get back now to church for Adventist Youth, which was about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're not coming until 6.
That's true.
And then the Friday night before that, 6:00, everything lock off. So what happened is that after that, my dad died, and we were really, really struggling. Really struggling. And I told this story at Clear Hall School graduation that they invited me to speak as feature speaker. And I find myself being called to do this a lot. I think it's about 25 events I've spoken to for the year.
I've called upon you twice.
There you go. So I was at the Clear Hall's graduation. I was trying to sort of tell the students that are there, look, it's not about how talented you are, or about how connected you are, or about how knowledgeable you are, or how many CXCs you've gotten. What it's really about is how disciplined you are. The discipline is what counts, because I was explaining to them that, look, I was young when this happened, and I didn't ask so much as a child because it was a situation where I knew our condition and our situation. So one day I asked my mom for an apple, and just I said, Mom, listen, I understand what you're going through. I understand that, you're clean and there's no one in the house working, all of us in school. I need just give me an apple and I'll be good. For Christmas, no, I'm asking my mother for an apple as a gift for Christmas.
Apple as a fruit apple,
yes.
Or apple as apple product?
No.
Fruit.
A fruit apple. All I wanted was an apple.
An American, one of them cold,
yes.
the red or green. Okay.
I was good with an apple.
Okay. You didn't get apple?
No. Why? Because she went to work the Friday. She's working for government and they didn't pay.
So she couldn't even buy apple.
I cried myself to sleep.
Bro, it's surprising you said that, because I won't say similar. At least I got an apple. But it was kind of along the same path, single parent, raising four kids.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Back then it is. So what had happened is that the church helped.
Okay.
I can say that there are members in the church that sort of realized what our situation was, and they looked out. Sometimes they would bring a loaf of bread. When we come home from church, there was a man that was very generous and philanthropic to us. His name was, they used to call him CJ. He had like a variety store where Bargain Center first had their branch opposite of CMC.
Okay. Yeah.
Many years ago, he used to go to Puerto Rico and bring in a lot of different things and sell. And he was very generous and kind. And some days he'd say, hold on to that, try and get some stuff for the family. And that appreciation is something that resonated with me a lot. So I find myself doing it now. In different capacities. I try and help people where I can, because I understood and I benefited from somebody having that level of generosity towards people that were struggling.
Yeah.
So the church helped because it created a strong sense of a moral compass in me. So I'm someone that you would consider, don't get into hanky-pankies and the extramarital affairs and take up money, and that's not me. That's not me.
Because of the discipline that
the discipline and what I've seen the impact and the lessons that my mother imparted on me. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have sex without marriage. But you get the point.
I do understand. And also some of your discipline, not only from the church, but I understand you were in cadets, the army as well too.
Well, not cadets, but Defense Force.
Defense Force, right.
So what had happened after Green Bay School, Green Bay Primary School, I went to Tartus Comprehensive School, and I recognized, like I said, education was the way for me to improve our chances of success. Because we didn't have the name, Antigua is about certain things that gets you ahead as a handicap, like a starting point. Yeah. So we weren't coming from any of the known families. Sure. We didn't have any inheritance to talk about, because the house we were in, we were leasing the land and paying house rent and them kind of vibes. Yeah. And we didn't go to any of the preppy school or anything like that. So it was like, yo, you have to find a way to get ahead because you have everything stacked against you.
Sure.
And education was the only avenue. So I took my schoolwork very seriously. And then after secondary school, I had to decide what we were going to do. There was no money to go to university. State college at the time didn't offer what I thought I wanted to do, which was getting into architecture. And so I recognized that it might be probably best that I work for a couple of years to save some money to go to school. And then I saw an ad on television, be all you can be in the army. You know what I'm saying? So my best friend and I
saw like the one in America.
Yeah, man, exactly. So my best friend and I, we decided we're going to try out the Defense Force.
Yeah.
So we went in, and luckily for me, before I got there, I was already doing some training with martial arts, Shotokan style. So I had some level of fitness. So by the time we got there and did our first physical tests, only my best friend and I passed the test out of the bunch of recruits. That whole experience with Defense Force is a story that can go on for a night and a day. But
I've heard some stories,
man.
But let's not keep
yeah. But
probably for the next time we link up and go into that.
Probably.
When the book come out, chapter
book. My boy, we'll retire for write that book. But I mean, we got a rude awakening because it was not easy, bro. It's not easy. I mean, but what it was for me is a very eye-opening experience about how far the human body can go if you can push yourself. There's this guy who's a motivational speaker. I think he's the only person in U.S. history who had completed SEAL training, Navy training, Green Beret training, and he was very thick and heavy before he started, and he slimmed down. And he was talking about the journey that it took and what he had to overcome and what he had to kind of save himself from, and where the road he was going down to where he is now. And he's correct, because your body can take a lot, but your mind is so much greater. So your mind can push further, but sometimes you don't realize it until you're put in a situation that you have to go beyond the limitations that are placed on yourself by yourself.
That's true.
Right?
Because that's one of the things I kind of struggle with, even to this day, is just a little bit more discipline. I mean, we can always improve, but that's something that I learned from, university, because going through like primary, secondary, even state college, it's just like, it's just winging it then. Last minute cram, procrastinate.
That wasn't me.
Yeah.
That wasn't me.
And I could tell too, because even when we were going to, again, we're going to get into it, when we were going to Cuba, and as I said, you came, you had a conversation with us. You could understand that, listen, you go to Cuba, you got to have fun. But one thing you're not going to do, a play. And you guys instilled in us as well too that, hey, listen, you not only go for get your education, but you go for represent Antigua, right? And we don't put in the work for put Antigua name on the map in a certain way, in a certain light. They think, they go come down here and 100 to 85, you don't see some people be like, all right, cool, we can take the worship.
I remember when a particular country came by, I'm not going to call the country's name, but particular country had plane loads of people come. And by the end of the first year, more than half of them already went back home. Understand? And like I said, because I would have gone through military training, I was very focused. But then I got knocked down again. So my life is a series of overcoming adversity to get me where I am. Right? And
but what happened? What would cause?
So what had happened again is that when I had finished from Defense Force, I was there for 3 years, and the scholarship came up for Cuba. So I said, okay, let me go and actually study architecture in Cuba, which was good. So I left. But we still weren't out of our financial hole that we were in. So I spoke to the persons in charge at the time about coming back and doing summers with the force, and so I can have a salary that would allow me to then purchase the essentials I need to go back to Cuba. Because even though we had a scholarship, we still had to be responsible for plane ticket and the essentials going over.
Correct, and also you studying architecture,
it was expensive. Right, it was expensive.
You definitely need a laptop. You need a T-square, all your
the tools that you need, and so because we had to build models and these things, right. So, first year of I graduated the military with top honors. Then the first year in prep school, same thing happened. I topped my course and everything because I'm an overachiever. And I believe that if I can get to the highest level, then it allows me access to another level. Because again, that's my mindset. Education is the way to get out of the situation I was in. So I said to them, look, let me come back and work in the force. And they said, yeah, man. So after the first year when I finished, and I was waiting for summers. I came back home summers and tried to say, okay, I'm here now. Let me just come back in and do what I have to do. They were like, what are you talking about? So after the year when I left and I came back, I was not employed in the force.
So they didn't put anything in place for you for when you come back?
No. So I was...
So no, you come back thinking that you come back, no money secure,
nothing secured, nothing.
So no, when you're back in Antigua, you
I was just
forget that dollar for go back.
Exactly, and I was just in the house, not doing anything, depressed. Because
you still have to go back to Cuba.
Right. So it was late in the game. Because normally if you're coming in for summer, you might try and organize something ahead of time.
On the Cuba summer shot.
Exactly. So I'm thinking that this is something that was sorted.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So when I got home and everything, and it was time to go back, my mom said, okay, fine. Let me try and see if I can help you out. And she went to a supermarket and said, look, I buy here all the time. Give me some stuff. I'll get it back to you. And the guy said, you're always taking things. Yes, you pay, but you're always taking things. Man, I walked around the store with her while we were packing the basket, and I couldn't catch myself.
Embarrassed?
Yeah. So I went back to Cuba with that on my mind. And I was like, this can't be real life. So I was like, if she's doing this, yes, I get the sacrifice, but I said, man, I just couldn't concentrate. I said, she shouldn't be putting herself through this for me at this stage of my age and where I am as a big man. I couldn't concentrate. So the first year of Cuba, before the first year of my university career, because remember there's a prep year, which is fine.
Right. The
first year of university, when you're going through trying to assimilate all that information that's in a different language, and architecture was very difficult in the first year.
Can you imagine the calculus? You tell me the calculus of Spanish.
Yeah, and remember...
You did bio?
Yeah, no, bio physics. Physics and chemistry.
So chemistry, maths.
No, but you're actually in the first year of your university now.
Yeah. Right. So you're doing calculus, physics, chemistry.
You're doing history. You're doing projects. You're doing technology.
Yes. Information technology, all that stuff. And you still have to struggle with the fact that you learn the language as well.
So then what happened now? I just couldn't concentrate. I started to grow out a beard, and I was just in a state of depression because I felt as if she should not be going through
that. Yeah, so you were in Cuba, but your mind was still in Antigua.
Yes, my mind was on my mom. So I said, okay, let me come back home.
Yeah.
I left Cuba. I dropped out. I left Cuba, came back home. My best friend came for me, and when he saw me, he said, I don't recognize you. I was not looking like myself. So I came back home. And I said to her that I can't have you doing this and suffering like this. I get it. You're trying to help me with my education, but I need to work and find my way. I will find my way, but not like this. So my brother, he was not happy about it. He said, look, I understand we're struggling right now, but you really need to try and finish this opportunity that you have. And then at that time, my ex-girlfriend's mother, she as well gave me a lot of words of encouragement and told me, go back. Don't worry about your mother. I have her. Right? So that assurance kind of led me to jump back on the plane, and I got back to university just in time before they would have shut me out permanently, because I would have missed a certain amount of classes. So that semester, the semester that I missed, the second semester, I had to catch up on the first and the second. So I doubled down, boss.
To be honest, you're fortunate as well too, because Cuba system's strict when it comes to
the
people
absence.
leaving.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Like, yo,
it was. I got back the last day before that 25% kicked in.
Because you don't know them boys no play.
So I was fortunate enough to get back in the last day, and I just put my head down, knowing that they said they have her back, and I just started to study.
I remember coming to Clark visiting you, right? And when we got down there, it was like, Colin, it's like your name was like, even if I say boy, you come in like a jock.
A jock.
Like, like when you go to them big university in the States, you're sports jocking. When you go downstairs, they say Colin. There's a Colin from Antigua. It's like, oh yeah. Like, it wasn't hard to find you. It's like,
yeah.
Like
I stood out.
I stood out.
I stood out. Yeah. I stood out. That's what I do.
Well, that's true. That's true. But let me ask you, Cuba. I mean, going through all of that, how was your experience in Cuba? Because again, for me, explaining Cuba to people, they don't understand it. It's like, it's hard for me to explain it to them. They ask me, like, if you could do it again, would I do it again?
Yes.
In a heartbeat, bro. And I would explain to them the struggles and the
but
things
the struggles are what made you appreciate life more.
No, but you like, if you explain to somebody what we go through or what we went through in Cuba, right?
They won't get it.
Can never. And they ask you, wait, you still want to go? I was like, dude, when I was doing my master's, Colin, as God as my witness, Cuba was always my first option. The only thing is, what I wanted to study, they didn't have.
I learned quickly that mixing the universities is important for us.
True.
So if you have a first degree in Cuba, you do a master's in
just to get a different perspective. And
Cuba is essentially going back in time. You went back in time to study. And Cuba as well is one of the only environments I say that I actually saw what true Caribbean unity looks like. Because you don't... True integration.
Everything.
Yeah, you have the mixes from the different countries, and you are all fighting and struggling and battling to make something better of yourselves in some very difficult conditions, and that breeds camaraderie. They said when the brotherhood, for example, is created through adversity, especially like in the military, when you're fighting against you're fighting against an enemy and you're with your colleagues, your squaddies that have your back. If you get through that, that's a bond of brotherhood for life. Listen, that's like Cuba.
I'm in Antigua, right? So we know Antigua a melting pot.
Yeah.
So Antigua have a lot, and me being in Antigua, see how Antiguans, like, see how Guyanese over here, Jamaicans over here, Vincentians over here, Haitians over here, Spanish over here, everybody just like their own clique. I keep telling people, when I'm in Cuba, I have no idea what this is. When you're in Cuba, you're a Caribbean person, bro. You can't come and say, yo, you on Guyanese, you on Jamaican, you on Haitian. No, you on Caribbean, because you come up against the juggernauts of the Vietnamese, the
Lebanese, the Syrians.
The Syrian. You come up against the Africans, the Libyans, the Namibians, the South Africa. You come up against so much a big country that.
But we held our own.
Oh, like a small one.
We held our own.
Square miles can't.
Listen, boss, we had a war that broke out in our university. It was the Caribbean guys versus the Lebanese contingencies, and it was over women.
Yeah.
But when the fight broke out, it, as you just said, it was not about it was Caribbean against Lebanese.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And no matter what color your skin be, no matter if you want Indian and Trinidadian Indian or Guyanese Indian or Guyanese Douglas, whatever you want to call yourself, it no matter.
When you go Paul, you see you got somebody from Dominica, Vinci, Antigua, and Jamaican in the mix.
And the exchange of cultures as well too, because no, I know I'll don't be Guyanese pepper pot. You don't know I can say yo for pepper pot the best. Everything Antigua the best.
But my roommate for about 2-3 years was from Africa, Angola.
Right.
And I learned so much about Angola that I didn't pick up in the media. And that's a totally different story about how the media frame things compared to what the people that live there actually tell you.
Yeah, Angola, Namibia, Congo.
Yeah. And then as for the women, oh Lord have mercy.
Seychelles.
Oh, man.
Yo, listen, that's the first time I'm actually seeing a black person with blue eyes, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can never forget. They had this friend from Namibia that did prep with us. She had, it's from prep, or maybe from first year in Cuba. She had blue eyes, bro. Mm-hmm. I always felt it with contacts. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw her baby picture, I was like, I didn't even know that black people can have blue or green, like.
And that's the thing.
Crazy,
Cuba is, when you think about Cuba compared to other places, it's small.
Yeah.
It's not that small, but it's small.
Yeah, it is.
But you have a concentration from so many places that it becomes this immersion that you go through. So you have cultures that you learn about and you see how other countries view. There is some level of skepticism, some level of stereotypes, some level of tinge of racism.
Yeah.
All of that existed.
Listen, I had a friend from Yemen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if I put them out there, but whatever. This man we see me and say, oh yeah, negro. Didn't bother me one bit. Mm-hmm. Because as much as he called me an, N-word or whatever the case may be, the respect was always there. The man tell me straight up, yo, that's who you be now. Mm-hmm. Your stereotypes exist for a reason because that's who you are. You can acknowledge your stereotypes, but outside your stereotypes, you as a person, I'm going to rock with you because you're a genuine person, you're a helpful person. We converse very well. You never disrespect me. You might think this is not disrespect, but I have stereotypes that you can exploit as well too. And it's just cool. What I've realized as well too, even what's happening in the Middle East right now, there are countries, persons from countries that generally outside of Cuba, war all day, every day.
Oh yeah.
In Cuba, best of friends.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the nuances that would exist just because of how you pronounce a word or how you speak
doesn't apply,
disappear because everybody have to speak that one language, Spanish. So no, if I say something and you don't understand, you say, hey, whoop, 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 in Espanol, por favor. And then you say this Spanish and it's like, okay, you can judge the tone. You can say, all right, maybe if we go wise. You're a joke, man. So it dispel. So that's why I realized this. Everybody all around the place. Once you come to Cuba and you speak that common language, it's either you're gonna have that person like you or just not like you. Straight up. There's no too much room for gray area.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about Cuba as well too. For you, in terms of you were in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Full 5 years in Clara.
Yeah.
How was the full? I mean, again, I know your name ring bells through Clara. You're sure if you go back right now in your hand and
my teachers and them are still cheering me on my page.
For real?
Yeah. My lecturers are still there.
Nice.
And they would say things like, we always knew that this would be your end. This would be where you'd go in because listen, teachers have an ability, good teachers have an ability to know when certain students are destined for greatness.
That's true.
And I've been told that. I didn't ask for it. It was just a conversation. And if people see it in you, Mello, after a while, you need to embrace it. And I think that's a problem we have as a people. And we were having this conversation after the review show today, where you're talking about The Crown, that Netflix series that's cataloged the life of Queen Elizabeth and all of that
Very
stuff.
good series.
Yep. And some people, of course, may, throw shade on the monarchy. But I was saying to them that what I'm reminded of the monarchy is how many centuries of unbroken culture and protocol and lineage that you have there. That's powerful. We don't have that. And so we bob and weave because identity is a big issue.
Especially amongst us young men in the Caribbean.
Right. So what I'm saying by that is because we don't have that, we tend not to embrace things that makes us legendary because we see it as too enough. We feel we're better than people. And so that plays into you not being able to put a proper value on your worth.
True.
Meaning of that anymore.
That's something I struggle with even today. Because, again, for example, you would call me and tell me, Tito, I need somebody to teach such and such a lecture. Or, lecture such and such a course, right? She can look at me and tell me, yo, you can do this job, bro.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like, you struggle with identity. You
have to convince yourself.
To the point where she just come and tell me, yo, this is you can teach the course.
Mm-hmm.
And because out of respect for her, I was like, all right, cool, I'm just going to do it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting all the calls to be like, hey, you need to do this. And I'll see other people that, because again, no matter how much you're trying to judge, there's a measuring stick, bro.
But it's a part of our existence.
Exactly. And you will see other people knocking this thing out the park and you're like, there's no way this person do this good of a job.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But just for you to get over that hurdle sometimes. And that's the next thing I want to ask you as well, too, because in Cuba, right, you realize everybody's on the same level. At the end of the day, everybody had the same goal. Try to get this degree, go home, try to better yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've realized is in Antigua, the Antiguan pride that we so-called looking for in Antigua is like, I don't want to say it doesn't exist, but it's like it's submerged. It's like people like, once you're in Antigua, yo, me Antiguan, once you're Antiguan passport, hey, me Antiguan, I'm not to justify myself, you understand? I want to push the Antiguan pride. As opposed to when we're in Cuba, it's everything Antigua. Coming back into society, how was it? And I say coming back into society, I can't come from jail, but you understand because you studied in Cuba. Studied in Cuba, leaving from Cuba, coming back to Antigua. Going through everything you went through in Cuba. You portrayed in Cuba, coming back to Antigua, how was that transition for you? Because for me personally, just to get an idea, it made rough, bro.
It was difficult for me. So let me explain why.
Yeah.
By the time I finished from Cuba, I had in that year graduated as the top student throughout the university.
Right.
Throughout the university, you know how big Clara is. So
hold on. That's I do it. I can't glass. Clara one of the biggest universities in Cuba.
Right. So I topped the university. I had a special letter from the university to speak about my performance.
And you know what? I could actually confirm that because remember when we come to Clara, we had Antigua Independence, the campus money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my man's right as a study. Remember a party, so the whole weekend of this party, right? Think about like spring break, the whole weekend from Friday to Sunday. My boss, when I reached the Friday, had one pot, a cook, and a study at the same time. I find that ridiculous, bro. I was like, yo, what with this man? And the man study to the point where the camion or the bus and leave a car to the campus, bro. And them mans walk with them books, bro. The level of discipline that. So for him to say something like that, it's surprising for me as in the top student for Clara.
That's happened.
But at the same time, it's not surprising because you guys put in the work.
My GPA was ridiculous.
You can imagine. So you didn't do exams and so then? Because once you did well short, the time and your projects and them and everything good, you don't really have to.
So this is the funny thing. Yeah. So I spent the 4 years or the 4 to the 5 years murdering the books. That doesn't say they didn't take a break because around that time I met my wife.
Okay.
To the middle, like to third year, going into fourth year, I started to get involved with her.
Yeah.
The last year was when I relaxed because that's thesis. So I was writing a book at that time, but I had already achieved what I wanted to do. So I could have afforded to just relax. Definitely. But speaking about the transition now.
Right, yeah.
So you were being exposed to a culture like that and you see the camaraderie and you see how things here you're taking for granted. So when I got back, I wanted to do 2 things. 1, get a really good job because I figured I worked hard for it and I got the grades to prove it.
True.
And 2, I wanted to make a difference in my country.
That's
right?
all of us, bro.
So when I got back, we organized career interventions into school to talk to the kids about career paths and so on. That's where that started, 2006.
Yeah.
Where the Cubans came together and we were really trying to push what we saw as the camaraderie in Cuba. We were trying to replicate it in Antigua. It didn't quite work out, right? Which is sad. And you have an idea about that as well.
Let me just interject right quick, right? Bro, listen to me. I told Menace this the other day. Me and Bash was talking about it the other day. Listen, if and if only the Cuban Students Association, all the students in them from Cuba, can come together, bro. There is no body. There's no group, no organization in the world.
Definitely.
They can stop our
No. Because of what you went through. It's almost like,
bro, we have neurosurgeons from Cuba, bro.
Not just that, but I think because of what we went through, it's almost like you have an academia class that has military background.
What? Bro, it's key.
But what had happened, we fall into the hamster wheel.
Yes.
You're working, you get a career, family, and everybody just kind of doing their own thing.
Yes.
And after a while, it got very stressful and tiring for the group that were always working.
Yeah, that's true.
And, as natural progression, what is meant to be, so it just withered away.
Mm-hmm.
But I never stopped.
Clearly, because you're still doing it to this day.
To this day, going to school, talk to the kids, trying to inspire people for greatness. I never stopped. And because I'm a cockroach. I'm sorry.
I can never die.
No,
you can just adapt and adjust.
Listen, I believe that if it is that I'm going to do this, and that's the problem with me, and I generally try not to commit. Because once I commit,
you can go all the way.
Yes. So I don't give people my commitment very easily.
True.
So I might have light conversations, but I don't say I promise.
Because even to get you here, you're like, let me see what I can do. I'll call you. Let me call you back.
But once I say I am coming, I show up.
Yeah, you did.
Right? So, I'm that kind of person. So I try not to. But I committed to say, look, okay, this is not working out the way we planned, even though we started and we did a lot of good.
Yeah.
Let me try and make the change with my circle, how I can, where I can. And I did just that, started to do it. And I have a situation now where somebody will come up to me and tell me, you came to my school 10 years ago.
Inspired them.
You told me this. That put me on this part, and I'm here now because of that discussion. I've had that many times.
What's the feeling like?
That you did what you're supposed to do. A friend of mine told me the other day, do you realize that you're a household name now? I said, yeah. Yes.
How do you navigate? How do you move around knowing that information now?
Same way.
Normal.
Yeah. Somebody asked me if I don't feel pressured. I said, why?
To do what? Yeah, that's
pressure to keep up the image. I said, there's no keeping up the image.
But there's no image to keep up.
You see, that's what some people think.
You're doing it because you genuinely want to do it.
Right, but this is part of my existence. You see, what has happened here is I'm fighting, in a sense, of preventing the next me from going through what I went through as a child.
True.
So if I can talk to you, because I didn't get necessarily the talk like that. I had to struggle through, in a sense. Yes, I got assistance and moral support from my brothers and stuff like that. But if I've been through that, why do you need to go through that? If I've gone through the pond and realized that this is the deep end of the pond, don't I tell you to walk the shallow part to get to where you need to go? Why you need to go in the deep part and literally drown, maybe, just to prove a point? No.
That's true, because you can avoid the time they go through all of that. You can just navigate and then.
So if I've been through it and say, hey, this is something I think you need to pay attention to, then that's fine. Because you see, again, I'm not in a competition with anybody, right? So if you can be better than me, faster than me, more successful than me, fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, and if I can help you even get faster and more successful, and then
you know why? Chances are, if you're very successful, you're gonna spend. If you spend in the economy. The economy is working well. You get benefits from that.
Point, you come right
back to you.
But my question to you now is this: Because given that you're on this journey, clearly you can meet some people that just think that, yo, whatever you're saying, I'm in a sense, I can push back against whatever you're saying. It's like, oh, you go on like you're better than people. How do you navigate something like that?
That's interesting. I'll tell you a funny story. Yeah. So when I started out with the Male Empowerment Network, and it started out very organically in the sense that I went to a stage play.
Yeah.
I think it was 2011 or so, where the women of Antigua were putting on plays to talk and raise awareness regarding violence against women.
Okay.
At that time, there are a lot of sexual assaults that are taking place in especially the lower social status areas in our country. And it was almost coming across as a serial abuser.
Yeah.
And so I went to the stage play. It was Vagina Monologues that was being performed. And I sat down in the audience and I'm listening. And I have the way my mind thinks, I try and pull things together and look exactly at the core of what is the issue. And I saw the core of the issue was men. All of the things they described, right down to the source of it, was men. So then I reached out to a couple of them that I know very well, and I said, how can I help? How can I change this? Right? And they said, well, see what you can do. And I said, okay, I'm going to try and see if I get a group of men together for us to talk about what I think is the problem. And they said, yeah, I think you should do that. We would support that. I think. And we had a woman in the midst just to ask questions and have conversations. And some of the guys didn't feel quite comfortable opening up with a woman there.
In general.
Right. So what I decided to do was use my living room. So the guys would come over and we discuss issues that we are facing as men in a quote-unquote safe space. And we got a lot of our chest. Some of it was very emotional. Some of it was enlightening. And we had various people at various points of their life. And so that experience then, was a catalyst for my work with trying to push men's issues to the forefront for discussion purposes, because I felt as if it is that you walk into a house and you see water, what do? Do you go for the mop and start mopping, or you try and find out if there's where the leak is?
Correct. Yeah.
So I was trying to get to the leak.
Yeah.
And so in that process...
Spoken like a true engineer.
Right. So in that process, you recognize that there is sort of a paradox to it.
Yeah.
Because some people want you to fix the problem.
Yeah.
But they're very much not comfortable with you addressing the problem head on, because it's an uncomfortable discussion.
They prefer you just fix the problem and they say nothing.
Right.
Nobody even know where the leak come from. All I don't even know the problem fixed.
So, sometimes I would post stuff, and then one time, because I'm doing so much work heavily in this, I would have made some comments online in the spur of the moment because of an announcement that was made.
Yeah.
And a lot of them felt that it was inappropriate. And
without any context.
Well, I try and explain it in the best way I could.
No, but I'm saying, instead of having a dialogue with you, just to try to get an understanding and try to get the context, automatic offense.
So what had happened is that I was invited to speak at an event, and they were trying to put some focus on the men's issues that I was trying to highlight, and I was just a conduit for many guys talking to me that were not comfortable enough saying certain things out loud. So I appreciated the effort that was made, and then there was another announcement made, and I felt as if they sidelined all of this important aspect and only focus on one side of the issue. And so I made a comment to say, look, I applaud you highlighting one side of the issue, but we're over here. And so if you don't involve us in the discussion, especially when it should be something focused around a national consensus, then I felt as if, what are we doing? So by doing...
And aid into the problem as well, too, because no, you're not even listening to what the action...
Well, it was half and half on the discussion, because half understood and appreciated what I was trying to say. The other half didn't. And very quickly, let me tell you, I put up the post. And within an hour, there was over 100 comments.
Wow.
And for Antigua, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about no one line.
And I'm not talking about just recently. I talk about back in the day where...
Yeah, this is not one line. We talk about one comment with paragraphs, plural. Right? And so we had a discussion internally, and the guys in them said, look, Colin, you're going to win this battle, but you're going to lose the war. Because it's not that you're not right. Not that we don't think what you're saying has merit, but it's such a sticky subject for some people that in forcing the issue, sometimes you turn people off, right? And so I had to check myself. And I said, look, I don't think I was wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to know when you have to scale back and reevaluate the room, right? And so I did. And I recognized, look, let me do my thing quietly and let the chips fall where they fall, let the results speak for themselves. That was the decision that I made because I recognize we are not ready for certain conversations as yet.
Especially in the Caribbean, bro.
Yeah.
We're
not.
Now bubble by us, bro.
We're not. We're not ready for certain types of conversation as yet because it's too much of walking on eggshells to get it done.
When we say we, do we mean
collectively?
Okay, then.
Collectively.
Perfect. I just wanted to.
I remember my good friend Zara Awal said this to me many years ago. And we were talking about something, and she made the reference that, look, Colin, something. We have these discussions within our bubble, but that bubble is not the whole bat. She didn't say the bat. I'm using that one, but what she was trying to say is, look, we have this discussion among us.
Yeah.
But the views we think and reflect and understand is not the wider society.
Not only that as well too, you have to take it into consideration. And it's something I've been advocating for the last maybe like 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to me like when my brother passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
I realized that at the time I wasn't all the time, you always think you're strong and you're brave and the masculinity thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that me couldn't cry. As a man, me couldn't cry so much, bro.
Yeah.
You understand? And then I had to go on this journey of emotional intelligence, right? I'm not there yet, but the level of education and the things that I've gone through in Cuba and not also Cuba, but Barbados and the struggles and the triumphs that you overcome put you in a position where you're not starting from zero. So even if you're there 50 now, because of the tragedy, you might go back. And I can agree to what Zara is saying. I'm a bunch of highly educated people, bro, that can understand nuances. And even if we don't agree, we can still understand your point of view. But just the experience that wherever I come from just can't afford me to agree to what you're saying. Because, everybody had their way of thinking of how they're raised. But I can understand. Yeah, and I think that's the problem that we have in society today.
That percentage is low. That's the problem. So the wider group, yeah. So that happened, and because of that, I decided to step back because again, I was talking to another friend of mine, and she said to me, I was in that place you were in, where I was advocating for women's right and women empowerment and women's professionalism, and after a while, I started to get angry. Because I felt people weren't listening to me enough. People weren't taking me seriously. And so I had the sense to pull back. So I understood what she was saying. Yeah. So I had to do the same because I was becoming immersed into it. And that's a dangerous thing because you start to get upset that people are not championing the cause and it should be serious enough for you to champion the cause. But there's so many causes that are out there, and there's so many things you're dealing with that you have to pick. Yeah, you pick a battle, and a battle,
and there's a fight between the people who are advocating for certain things because you might advocate for men's health and mental health and awareness and so on, and somebody that advocate for children or women or whatever the case may might think, whoa, this trumps this because I think this is more prevalent than this.
There you
Not
go.
realizing that, listen, let's come together and bring out the information together.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. So 1 year, the guys in them, we decided to do an initiative where we're going to do YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it's about 10 of us, and we focus on short clips, but things we are passionate about. So I would have explained the initiative overall.
Right.
That was my video.
Yeah.
And some of the guys talk about depression, some of them talk about fatherhood, some of them talk about health, some of them talk about mentorship. Everybody took a piece. So in my video, I said, look, I explained why am I doing this, the genesis of where it started, and that I believe honestly that good men would make great families, and great families make great societies.
Correct.
The premise of that statement is, this is a message by men for men. Let me go back to that again. This is a message by men for men.
That's the way you go wrong.
No, this is us. We're saying we're doing a men's initiative.
Yeah.
We're trying to talk to the boys in our society to have a word, because you may not get them in a space for them to listen.
I do understand.
So you're talking directly to them, you.
Yeah. Yo, this message is for you as a guy.
Somebody didn't get that memo.
Yeah, because anyways.
Somebody didn't get that memo. So again, and
they're making a whole thing.
Yeah. So again,
completely missing the situation that.
So when I say somebody didn't get the memo, I mean we collectively as the group decided that we were all going to listen to each other's message. Correct. So we were all in the room while we were recording, right? And if we all weren't comfortable about it, it wasn't going to go out. That was the pact we made.
And it never went out. So
no, it went out.
Oh, okay.
It went out. Everybody that spoke, they were edits,
Yeah.
But we will make sure as a collective that we were going to stand by the videos that we went to, because it was in the height of the female empowerment movement. So anything you get that's slightly wrong, it was not trending at that time.
Misogynistic, whatever the case may be.
Right? So we were coming out in that era, right? And so we had to have this level of political correctness to it. So when I mentioned about men and families and societies and so on, some people felt that it didn't too like that, because it's leaving out a group like the single parents and so on.
Okay.
And I said, look, I'm a product of a mother who didn't have her husband around.
Sure.
Why would I disrespect her by saying something to exclude her? No, listen to what I'm trying to imply
and the
here.
Message, yeah.
And so I think a lot of the times we're so hung up on the exact words that people say instead of trying to understand the message from their heart, that you ostracize people in the process, and people stop talking.
The level of comprehension out there as well too.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people dial back because they can't take that. Like, you were trying to stick on if I conjugated a verb. No. What am I trying to tell you? What is my intent? What is my message from my heart I'm trying to say? Who is my target audience? You understand?
That's true. Yeah.
This political correctness that you have to have all the time, you're missing the ability to have inclusion, because you may be intellect over someone else, and so that gets blown over, and then you don't get to the core of what somebody's trying to say. I remember Nelson Mandela made a point that if you really want to get to a man, talk the message of his heart, talk to his heart.
Yeah.
You understand? Talk to his heart. That's how you get to people.
That's true, because even a killer on heart too.
Well, but I mean, from that experience, and again, I understood a perspective. That's something that I think, I'm not sure where I got it from, but I have the ability to listen. I do listen, especially in dialogue. I try and put myself in your... So I hear it, I say, okay, fine. You feel this kind of way, let me try and understand you. It may take me a week, so immediately I may not give you that. But I may go back to it and revisit it after.
But at least you would take it into consideration, and you give it some thought.
I will process it after the fact.
Before you actually say anything out of the way and for offend that person.
Generally, I try not to.
Yeah.
Right? But I try and process the information, and I get to see, okay, where did I go wrong here, and how can I improve in the future? I tend to ask myself a lot of that question a lot.
So that's how you would navigate, like somebody that, talking to them and try to get like a pushback. You just try to see where they
No,
come
it
from.
depends. It depends.
Because sometimes you have to be like, ah, cool. Can't save everybody.
No. I'm very, very amenable most often. And if
Okay.
I think you're going to be aggressive, I try not. I just don't go in your space.
Fair enough.
Right?
So you have kids, correct? Well,
I have a son.
A son, right?
Uh-huh.
How is it raising a son now with all this wealth of information, with the youth empowerment or with the men empowerment network that you have going forward? How is it, because I know you were a young boy at one point, the challenges that he could face, the rebellion.
I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible.
Listen, having this conversation with you, bro, we walked a similar path. Like, maybe it's...
No, I was at the point of terrible that my mother was half an hour away from putting me in a taxi and sending me to the boys' training school.
Bro, but just gonna say the same thing for mother scare it. For my mother and scare it. Policeman scare it. She hype on speed dial, bro.
Yeah. No.
All she ever said, "My car scare." Whoops.
No, she was threatening you with calling him.
She be there to put you.
Mine was sending me. That's the difference.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right?
Bro.
So I mean, that was the situation. But I know as I'm raising a son, I'm enjoying it because again, I didn't have that. So because I didn't have that, I want to make sure he has as much of me before my time comes.
And I can see from, social media interacting with him that he's very in tune.
Yeah.
With himself as well too.
There's a running joke in the family that his mother can come and leave the house and he doesn't bat an eye. I can't do that. I cannot do that.
Crazy.
Because he's really connected to me, and that's not normal. Boys tend to be connected to their mothers. He's really connected to me. I don't know if it has something to do with energy and bonds, because I believe in that thing.
Yeah.
When he was born, I held him first.
Okay.
He was premature.
Yeah.
And I held him first before my wife came out with the operation and could hold him and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we collectively spent a lot of time with him. A lot. But we're both quirky, as you know, but I tend to play with him a lot. With football and gun shooting and karate, and
it's well documented.
And then I generally would take him to school, take him to his practices, because the way my wife works.
True.
So we have a very strong bond. So I remind him as much as possible, especially when he's in an environment where he's of privilege. Say, look, son, this is how your dad grew up. I took him back to Grace Farm and show him my house. And I would explain to him what Christmas was like for us. And he gets it.
Didn't have much, but...
He gets it. Yeah. He understood. Because one day he said to me, Daddy, something had happened. I think he saw a nice vehicle or something, and he said to me, and this is 9 years old,
Yeah.
Without batting an eye, he said, I realized that these things are not important to you.
That's good, boy.
That you don't have to have these things, and you're not bothered about these things. And I said, I'm glad you realized that.
And that come from not only, but you see, and it took, for me personally, it took me a while as well too, because again, as I said, similar path. Understanding that education is the only way you can get out of any slum they're in, right? But I think where for me is like when I came back from Cuba, I got lost a little bit. Come back,
I remember.
The struggle.
You're trying to find yourself.
Very much so. And then the music thing happened. So now, not only while you're trying to find your identity, you have an identity that's automatically forced on you.
Yeah.
And then you get thrown in, and then you try to be reserved because you really don't understand where this is going. And people will say, oh, you're going to keep better than people, and oh, you stand up. It's just like, not really, but just try to figure out how to navigate this. Hence why the whole master thing came about as well, too, because a lot of people think, I do, as I said, I believe in education. Education is the path. But masters, for me, personally, Colin, was a way of getting away from everything that was happening. That's why I like what you said about, articulating yourself and all that. Because I felt like, for me personally, while dealing with the music, I had no idea who I was as a person and how to articulate that to people. So, whereas I would go to this show and have awesome show, kill it. The next show, and people's like, yo, what you do up the boss? Like, yo, I want for you. And then for like maybe a month straight, I would do shows after shows after shows, and I would just go up, just hide behind the menace. Easy for me hide behind the menace, but still, my boy that. Hide behind the boss and just try to fry my way. And then when menace took off, it was like, all right, let me just hide behind the menace then. Then the next year, both are like. So now the third year coming into this, you don't know who the pressure upon now.
Mm.
And then the third year wasn't as good. I was like, nah, I can't do this pressure. And I left. And come back. When I came back, nobody asked no question. Because I felt like coming back, man, it's gonna come, yo, wow, we do boom, bam, bam. But the group will call you, but nobody else outside of the group will call you. Like Antigua, like, you know, Antigua top. So here till they gone tomorrow. Everybody don't forget, yeah, he may be the guy that's singing. And then I just realized, all right.
Once you hear you
comfortable.
Once you hear you move like that here, they're merciless.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, no, but I mean, people still be like, you know, I always tell people always say, oh, you're superstar. I was like, no, maybe there's some star. I'll accept the star part. So it's like, what the difference? It's like, I'm the person that people like, never some way.
Yeah.
Can't put my hand on. I was like, yeah, you know, wrong somebody. He said, you don't sing a man. I was like, no. I was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, and me was like, okay. You look like people ever tell you something. I was like, yeah, sometimes, and then you just keep pushing.
Yeah.
Whereas Menace and Boaster can't run.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, Boaster, oh, Menace.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just call me Boaster too. We'll go by Peggy, go by breakfast. Peggy will say, Menace, Mr. Menace, all gone. To this day, me correct. All right, Mr. Menace, me rock with it. You understand? So you just make it easy. But as I said, with the Men Empowerment Network, I mean, you talking to the youths. One thing I see right now in Antigua is, especially with the youths, a lot of idle time. What things are your group doing, or is your group doing to help navigate something like that? Because a lot of idle time, I don't think that we realize that sports can be an avenue to help a lot of these youths, because we try to push, you know, entrepreneurship, education. A lot of them are not at that level. It's not that to talk down on it, but some of them focus just on it. It's hard for you to tell a youth to open the book when he hungry.
Yeah.
Attention span just like
it's hard for anybody to do that. So what are some of the things we're doing? Now, let me explain something. The group is not a formalized group.
Okay.
What it is persons coming together to work on this initiative, execute it, and we just kept in contact and supported each other. So it's not like one of these established NGOs or anything like that.
Okay, fair enough.
But what we have recognized through that process is how powerful that association is. So our thrust in that regard is to replicate that sort of situation. So the guys in them would start to now talk to other guys and form smaller groups and try and create the same culture so that it has a knock-on effect.
So you keep creating subgroups upon subgroups.
So we have guys, for example, who are lecturers and they do that with their students, and others who have smaller persons who are into geek culture and things, and they push that, and I'm more on the other side, and then there's some with their co-workers. So you're replicating the concept itself, not having a big for instance some retreat and 1,000 people show up and everybody starts to talk like Les Brown, and then everything disappears after. We don't know. It's not that. It's not that.
You need to have more actual impact, and
it's not like that doesn't have its place. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is when people hear groups, they expect to see this kind of in your face thing.
Right. Suit
and what
tie,
we've recognized, we really want to get to some of them fellas. That doesn't work.
And Jimmy on the corner struggling, you will come up with your face suit and tie.
So let me give you an example. I remember there was a guy in an area where he was complaining he wasn't getting any work.
Yeah.
I heard his situation, and so I said, let me try and see if I can help you. And I established something for him to do, right? And he called back and said, Jenkins, you're I'm really thankful for this, blah, 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 blah. And he had it all from what I was made to understand. But he made a lot of bad choices in life that got him to where he is. He can't see his kids and you name it. And he was working for a while, and then there was an incident and he had to stop working.
Yeah.
And in talking to people, you get to realize that he may not have quite cleaned up his act entirely.
Okay.
And so he was falling back into the same situation again. And we gave him another opportunity, but I said to him point blank, this is the last time.
You can only do so much.
Right. And then on the other side, I think one of my major success stories that I am aware of, because sometimes you impact people and you don't know. a young man was in the area and saw me doing some katas, because at that time I was doing Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using the Chinese sword, so it's very shiny in the night.
Right.
And he came down and said he wanted to learn. And I said, to do this art, you have to try and be at peace with yourself. But why would you want to learn it, right? And he said, well, to protect himself. So I said, what happened? He said, well, his uncle had died in some shooting or the other, or some accident. And I said, okay, but what were you guys into? Why this happened? And he mentioned that it was drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, this is not why you learn the art, right? So I didn't immediately pick him up on it, but I engaged him. I continued to engage him. And then he came around and we started to teach him. And so he started to learn that he had to be calm to practice something like Tai Chi. And eventually he started to open up that he wasn't in school, got kicked out of school, essentially fighting. But through the association he had with us, he went back to school, finished up his school. Then he was really interested in IT. So he went and started to really go into that area heavily. And today, you would not believe the guy he was 10 years ago to now. You
Completely.
would not believe it.
Complete
turnaround. And I never forgot that day when we were talking. He said, look, he has ambitions to be the biggest drug lord in Antigua. And the guy was stone-faced when he said that to me.
At the time?
Yeah. He was dead serious. That was his path.
And I'm sure the way he spoke, I'm sure he knew that he had a very short lifespan as well.
He knew.
But he just want to forget what he need to get out of this while he keep
you see,
pushing.
Sometimes hopelessness is a fuel, you know.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes hopelessness is actually a fuel. He felt that this is his path until he got to a place where the environment was different, where people actually give a damn.
Nah, just gloss over that. Hopelessness is actually... It makes sense now, because some people just realize, hey, you not getting no better than this. So
they go ahead in.
I'm going to just do whatever I can do, boss.
So he came around, he learned, and then while he was learning, you know, I just imparted on him, helped him, and encouraged him. And his mother always said, you know, she was, thank God, the day that he met.
Grateful.
Right? So
Gratitude, yeah.
This is not to boast, but this is to acknowledge that I recognize what my gift is.
I hope to inspire others as well.
Yes. Too. Right? And this is what I'm talking about, going back to embracing who we are.
Uh-huh.
You understand? I never forgot one of the principals and them told me right here. I didn't have much interactions with her.
Yeah.
We went to have a meeting because something was supposed to be done with the school.
Yeah.
This was years ago, you know. And she looked at me. She said, Mr. Jenkins, said, hey, how are you doing? Because she never taught me.
Yeah.
Never went to a school. She said, you're a visionary. I was like, okay, just like that? She said, yes.
Random.
So when I was talking to Clear Hall School,
yeah,
as a feature speaker, just last week, she was writing the code. She took a picture and sent it to me in WhatsApp. And basically, picture said, I told you. So what you've accomplished between 10 years ago and now,
to know, yeah,
I've told you so.
She told you so 10 years ago, and no, she took a picture of you in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can contest to that as well too, because again, having worked for the UN, having put on those 3 hackathons as well too, says straight up to me, listen, like when he came here, he was, you know, kind of skeptical because I'm 108 square miles. Why come out 108 square miles when you come from them big countries? You understand? Came, he saw the talent pool, he was like, nah, this is crazy. And I remember the first year you spoke, he was like, interesting. You know, it kind of piqued his interest. He's like, this one doesn't want off, you know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't like that dismissive, but in a nutshell, he's like, cool, we got some good speakers. Anyway. So the second year on, we were like, we need to get a speaker. So Carol was like, Dr. Hodge was like, no brainer. You don't know me, no brainer. Colin again, because you don't know, I'll get consistency out of you, right? And then he was like, you know, the topic at the time as well to sustainability, yada, yada, yada. So it's like even perfect as well too. And then after your speech, right, after you gave that introductory speech, he was like, okay, no, let me say this. Antigua too small for this, man. He said it straight up. He's like, Antigua too small. I remember at the time we had CEOs, VPs, venture capitalists, you name it. Head of department in other major universities. We had like a eclectic, and they all agreed. They're like, listen, tell me how I could get this guy to give a speech. Like even today, if I speak to Jonas will ask me, hey, what's up with Colin? I was like, you ready for fly, yo? He's like, man, I wish this program had gone through because the plans that we were trying to move things around, if we were moving, you'd had to be. You understand? So for her to say that, it's not, I mean, some people look at it lightly because, you know, within the, not even saying the Caribbean, in the world. Bro.
And I've accepted that a long time ago. I've come to terms with it a long time ago.
So how do you navigate? So
I'm still the same person.
You know.
But what I do, I challenge myself.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I sat down with a billionaire about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were doing some work for him through another company I was working for.
Yeah.
And he asked me the same thing. What am I doing here? You understand? He asked me one minute. I said, well, first of all, one, I think there's still opportunity for me here.
Facts.
And I wasn't lying. And two, after what my mom went through.
You had a conversation with he and I, right? Just so
okay.
I mean.
I think my mom, I shouldn't live for my mom, but at the same time, I found a way for her to still be in our presence and in part of my brother, myself. And that gives her longevity. And it also gives me joy too.
That's true.
Right?
I understand.
And as it so happens, remember now, look, I'm basically the project manager for the expansion of UE Open Campus.
Major.
Okay, there you go. So I'm part of the person that's responsible for creating a legacy for people for the next how many decades?
I want a legacy too, but I would advocate that you get your name on the building as well too.
No, me about that life. I'm still very much.
Yo, you know how to say.
No,
you know how to say so. Once I put out the petition, I want people to sign that. But and I could again, I've known you for a minute, and everything I could agree to because remember when I came to you and I said to you, hey Colin, I want to do this. I've traveled a lot and I've seen everywhere across the world have a monumental piece or art, something, a statement or a bus or something that say, hey, this is Antigua, right? I want to create this piece. And I spoke to like maybe 2 other architects and they told me like $20,000 and all kind of this, and they were nowhere on your level. Fresh off the swim from college or university. So I felt like, yo, let's create something together. Show people your skill. At this point, you already mastered in, well-known, renowned in Antigua. And I came to you and you're like, bet. In less than 6, maybe like in less than 3, 4 months, you gave me something. You said, hey, Tito, to this day, I still have the plans and so on. Still chopping it around, reworking the proposal and so on. So it goes to show to your humility because when I had the conversation with you, I met you somewhere random. And I said, hey, this is what I wanted to do. And you were like, all right, send me a message, explain to me, put them in a text, and I'll get it done. You couldn't easily be like, nah, bro, me too big for you and calm down and wait. I'm going to tell you, 2 other architects fresh from the swim, Them man never draw one lick up. Them man get no job since they come from university, Just to give them some recognition and help us build something, And them man was like, nah, be a big architect, boss.
But you see, the thing is too, I not apart from trying to help, I like to push the envelope, and you're doing something different.
Sure.
And when I mean push the envelope, I try to make sure that my work stands out as much as possible, not to prove a point, but to increase my ability to challenge myself. So let me tell you where that came from.
Yeah.
So I was in a meeting many years ago. And in the meeting, the person who was working for the government at the time, He still works for the government. But he was saying there was a project that came out.
Yeah.
And when he saw the proposals that came from our people, the local professionals, he felt embarrassed.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like a bid then.
Yeah.
And the quality of what they put forward was embarrassing. And so I took note of that. And I said, you know what? We need to operate with whatever we do to make it competitively, regionally to the minimum.
Yeah.
So it could be your business website, could be how you provide service. You try and put it in your head that you're competing with a regional entity.
Yeah.
So it increases your output.
Yeah.
And that's what I started to do. So for example, I remember I designed a couple of buildings that had international press looking at them and putting it out there. First in Antigua for this, first in Antigua for that.
Yeah.
I could have easily said, no, okay, I'm giving you a building and that's it. I said, no, how can I get this to the next level? Increase the visibility to the country for this reason, but also to challenge myself to see if I can actually accomplish this.
Yeah.
And I've done it twice.
You've done it once with the building in
Christian Valley.
Christian
So
Valley,
that's the first lead goal building of its type in the Caribbean, right?
Major.
And then the very interesting solar cabin.
I like the fact that you're smart. At least you're sure that you're proud of
something.
What I don't like about you is the fact that you say these major things and you're like, cool, whatever. Yeah. It's like, yo, dude, you know what you just accomplished. So if you see that little smirk, just know me feel like you got a sense of pride. I'm like that because not only you represent yourself and you have a sense of accomplishment as well too, but you represent the Cuban students fraternity. You represent your family and everything that your parents sacrificed, and also you represent the country. And you set a legacy for the young boy that will come along as well too, especially how eclectic and in tune with himself that he is.
Yeah.
You know, he can say, hey, my daddy did that, so he know the bar right now.
Well, actually, so that building too with the solar cabin, that was a unique one for sure.
Nice.
Because of how it's interesting because the client he had an idea of what he wanted, but he gave me a carte blanche to get it done.
Right.
And so it gave me a certain amount of freedom to really challenge myself. And the result of that was incredible. I mean, it had a lot of work. It was very team-centered. And this is something I need to strengthen to really challenge on. Most of what I've accomplished is not done by myself. Yes, I may have been the leader, but I strongly believe in teams.
Facts. Because I was just about to give you credit for that same thing, for that building as well too. Because though, and I wanted to make sure I highlight it though you were the lead, as you said, on that project, trust me, I've spoken to persons who had nowhere, in my opinion, no offense, they're supposed to be nowhere close to that building. They just come and be like, listen, Colin, this is the path that I want to go. I don't know how I'm going to go it, but I think you can help me with this. And you were like, I bet. I'm working on this project, major project. Show me what you can do. I'm like, wait, just because what you see in that person, how can you just look at that person and be like, okay, then bet I'm going to give you an opportunity? Because it's very difficult. Because, you know, some people look when you, some people talk.
I can tell.
Just talk and
no.
and you can be like,
you can talk for now till tomorrow. I can tell. I can tell.
The individual spoke to me. I was like, wait. How you get on that project, the boss?
Yeah, I can
with
tell.
No experience, with no nothing. And to execute it in a way that it still got recognition, not only from, because you had to approve it in order for it to go through. So much so that it got recognition from overseas to them be like, okay, yo, this is dope.
And that is kind of crazy too, you know, because I've had a lot of young people who come up to me and say, you know, Colin, if you ever, and I just take you and throw you into the deep. That's what happens, you know.
Swear.
And you swim. I'm not going to let you drown.
Yeah.
But I do that at times, and I don't do it with everybody. Sure. But I do it.
I think they don't want to disappoint you as well. So then go overachieve.
So what happened is that I've recognized that we do have, and you said it, we have a lot of talent here, but they don't get the opportunity. Yeah. And a lot of them don't get the opportunity because they are quote unquote young. I don't know what that means. Once you have the ability,
you know exactly what that means. I come from the society where age means?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, fair enough.
People figure they have an idea of what that means.
Because they think once you are age, when you come with some level of wisdom.
I remember
when you get older, you realize half of the people don't know what.
I remember there's a particular young lady, and she reached out. I think she reached out just for some light discussion. She was in university at the time, and she reached out to talk to me. She said, "Look, this was really good. I didn't expect you to take the call and spend so much time talking to me, but you did. So I appreciate that." And when she came back, she was doing some work on some. We were working on a major project here, right? And she came by and I said, "Okay, this is your specialty." She said, "Yes," and whatever. I said, "Okay, you take this. You handle this. You tell me what to do. This is your area of expertise. This is what you study. I will guide you. I won't just leave you to the sharks, but I expect you to lead." And they, I guess for a while, they were flabbergasted. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't believe that they were getting this opportunity. And I said, no. You need to understand that you have to start accepting yourself and your abilities. So
you ask for the opportunity. Here it is. I'm gonna give you the full. I'm not.
So
going to
you lead. If you want to run things by me, it's not a problem. You can, but you lead.
Yeah.
You lead, and I will be there with you. And what that did is create the confidence in the person that they needed to then go to the next stage of their career. Again, I didn't get that, but I understand how important it is. And what the benefit of that is for me, for example, is that if, for example, they're working on a project and they are the lead in this aspect and they have confidence in themselves and I can rely on them, we can fishing. You understand? You understand the part of that?
Yeah,
so people would tell me a lot, "Colin, I don't get it. Sometimes you lecture, sometimes you on about 5 years. I see a name associated 5 big projects. Then me see on radio. Then me see you at events
because you Harlem shows and."
I'm not. Me sure me should have get a secret family man thing so yet. But
no, you have to give me man.
Nah.
You see the part that
okay, fine.
You don't have to give me.
I won't give you everything. I won't give you everything. But I will tell you this much. Most often, each of these projects is a different team. So the team that, let's say, is working on the cricket Coolidge grounds, that whole revitalization project, that major project.
That's a different team.
That's a beast. That's a different team than the team with Five Islands expansion. And the team that, let's say, is working on global ports, that's a different team. And the team that's working on Halcyon, that's a different team. Right?
How do you go for choosing these people? You're just so fortunate than just land in their hand, bro.
Energy
senses
energy.
Okay, fair enough.
You understand?
That's true. That's true. Every time we get together on our 15 minutes, sometimes I have to say,
you can know immediately when somebody bluffing you. Well, I can know immediately when somebody's bluffing me, professionally speaking.
I'm yet to get there.
But at the same time, though, I'm not intimidated by where you come from and the money that you have, because that doesn't drive me. That doesn't faze me, right? I've been in a company of billionaires. Yeah. I've told billionaires I don't think we can do business together because I don't like your attitude.
Respectfully.
I'm going to say respectfully. Because there was nothing that I said that was inappropriate.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
No, but I had to put respectfully on there because, some people can take things out of context. Like,
well, they did. They did.
Yeah.
And I sent them Merry Christmas in WhatsApp. They never responded.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I sleep normal tonight.
Yo, that's the beauty about living in a 108 square meters.
I can go by my neighbor and beg sugar.
I tell you, what the fuck, you didn't even go by neighbor. You can drive up, when the dumb season, you can drive up, where you call up? Up by, where you call up there, by Jummy Bay area. Where you road, behind the Burma Road. Yeah. You see all the dumbs, you just pick up 2 dumbs and put 2 jelly and just drink that and go.
And it's not, it's not to put it across as being arrogant at these things, but it's just understanding your worth.
Yeah, standards and so on.
If you hire me, I give you as much as I can, as best as I can. That is just me, period. I am very serious about my product.
Yeah.
Do I get everything right all the time? No, but I'm cognizant enough to apologize and try to be better. But when I think you're trying to belittle me or take advantage of me, we have a problem. And I don't care how much money you're throwing at it.
Especially given the things that you have been through and how hard you work.
No, I'm not into that.
Oh, man, I always tell me the name of the only thing you have, see, bro.
Right. So I'm big on that. And so I try and tell young people that this is things that they need to embrace. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to work one job.
True.
There's nothing that says because you are a professional, you can't have a comedic life. There's nothing that says because you're married, you and your wife can't have fun and behave like y'all are 16. We get trapped into these boxes that society puts down and thinks that we have to sit in that, and people expect that. I don't have time for that. I don't. So
however you feel, you just... however the wind blow, you...
So my handle on my social media, consultant, comedian, content creator.
Big fact. Would you ever? There's a small second. You ever take up the mic? And I'm tempted to do at least on 10 minutes on an open mic, just talking pure jokes.
Pure jokes.
Yeah. You ever interested?
Yeah, I'd take a shot at it.
I can organize something.
After 2 Vitamals, maybe. I need to get my sugar up first. Can I get drunk with my sugar? If I get drunk, I might say some things I'm not supposed to. But my life is a joke, you know.
Yeah.
My life
was a joke.
The amount of comedic things that have happened in my life. True, when I blog about them online, people crack up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I just actually just figure out how to articulate it in a way that, you know.
It's a bucket list. It's a bucket list thing that you go up in front of a crowd and you have to entertain them.
For me too.
Right?
And I like how Dave Chappelle have changed the comedic platform or space, because before time it have to be set up, punchline, hit, set up. No, you can just literally go conversation, and intellectual people or smart people or people that just are thinkers will find the funny in everything you say. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier and take the weight off.
Mm-hmm. I think I can have a few between parenthood and relationships and childhood. Not so much about work. Yeah. Well, and then construction guys that crack me up, boys.
We do construction for
right. No, I was something that it's just like the stint that I'm doing on radio.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list thing.
True.
And I can only do it because I believe in people, Tito, and I let them do their job.
True.
Right? And I pay them what they ask me for. So here's the thing. So we're working, and you are working with me, and I say, okay, give me a price for your services that you can justify.
True.
You hear that carefully? Give me a price for your services that you can justify. Yeah. And the young people would ask me, what does that mean, Colin? I said, research. What does somebody that's doing what you do work for in, let's say, Barbados, in, let's say, Canada, in, let's say, the UK, in, let's say, Miami?
And then bring it back home.
Right?
And be reasonable too. And honest with yourself.
I don't mention reasonable.
No, when I say reasonable, as in, be honest with yourself then. I should have said.
A lot of people sell themselves short because they feel the clients will never pay that amount of money.
True.
Right?
I've heard that a lot.
Right. And that's fine.
If you're outside their price.
I've heard a lot that I'm a Rolls Royce. But you don't hear a lot that people are cursing because what I've given them is trash.
That's what you've heard? Your Rolls Royce?
Yes.
You tell you what me here. You know, me you good, so me can tell you what me here.
Mm-hmm.
Me here. Nah. Challenge for the rich people, boss.
Yeah.
But what they eliminate is the fact that, for the rich people and them, because it might, how I do business to you might seem that way. But you know, understand the rich people and then I'll go down to the mediocre, because whatever them build they want for last, the test of time. So when if Colin say $1 million, hey, me know it's a $1 million
mm-hmm.
As opposed to when Colin say $20,000, and I do $20,000 every 6 months.
Do you know how much we paid for our professional license to cover our company last year? Give a guess. So we had to pay the insurance company to cover the license for us to practice professionally.
Maybe quarter of a mil?
$22,000.
Oh, me way out to $20,000
just to cover, to insure our company, to practice, to cover the architecture, the project management.
Just in case anything go left.
Yeah. And their clients, because of the size of the projects, they want you to have an insurance coverage that is minimum $1 million US. So if they need to sue you, they sue you. Now, when you're operating at that level...
Hold on. But not gonna allow you for the slide over that. It's so easy to see this. When you're operating at that level.
No, you didn't let me finish, you know.
Go ahead. We'll listen.
When you operate at that level, you can't fool around. But at the same time, we just completed the design and the contractors started the construction of a house that's about 800 square feet, 2-bedroom in Glanvilles. So that's someone who is working in a government office. I said, Colin, listen, I want you to do my house for me. I said, okay. At the time she called me.
800 square feet, no?
Yeah. Hold on. At the time she called me, I said, listen.
But that's not so big.
800 square feet is nothing. Right?
No, I mean,
a 2-bedroom house. No, I mean, I say 8,000 or 800. Yeah. It's a regular little, very small house, right? So she said to me, I don't want nobody else to do my house except you.
Okay.
Because I cannot get this wrong. And I don't know you, but I trust you.
And she first house, I'm sure.
So I said, if you're that serious, you have to wait 6 months.
And she waited.
She get a discount that didn't make Santa Claus yay water. I did it practically for nothing. Just to show her that I appreciated
the fact that she waited.
Yes.
Plus also, I feel like them big up because also them other projects that you work on, you can sacrifice. You come in like a liar, you know. You can do 1 or 2 things pro bono, you know, bro.
I have done many things pro bono.
Exactly. So I mean,
too much pro bono. If I tell you how much pro bono, your eyes water too.
And I know how expensive, especially your field is, right?
Yes, it is. And I can tell you for the majority of the projects that we've done within the last 10 years, especially the last 10 years compared to the last 5. Mm-hmm. So let's say 15 overall, the first 10 and then the 5. The majority of the projects we've done in that 10 years was never at market value, as much as people think otherwise.
Below.
They were below. I remember in one project that we got, let's say for argument's sake, what we should have been paid is $10. We got paid $3. Okay, let us sink in.
Bro, that is 70.
Okay. But these are things.
Not even 50, bro.
Okay, but these are things that people will never know. Because you don't come out and justify yourself in a situation where some things are confidential.
That's true. And also the work speaks for itself as well, too.
Yeah.
So people need to know, hey, whatever happened on the back end, you come to the table, discuss your situation. If I want to agree to it because I'm excited about it, then I'll agree to it.
You know what's interesting too? When we tell people, look, you're seeing this bulk money now, but it's broken out into phases.
Yes.
And then when the construction starts, you need somebody that's there that's looking out for your interest throughout the period.
Facts. And because you can, I can tell you, if I want somebody to learn, if me see a couple of houses go up, it's very easy for a contractor for Jesus Christ.
The unscrupulous ones. So going back to what I was saying, when you quote a figure, you're quoting a figure for your full services throughout a period of design and construction. And sometimes that can last 18 months.
Okay.
So let's say for average sake, you have to hire a government worker as an agent. Mm-hmm. And you have to pay them a monthly salary because they're your agent.
Yeah.
To represent your interest on this project. That's 18 months. Do the math. Yes, I'm getting that.
And that's just the agent.
Yes.
And I talk about the laborer and the...
No, what I'm saying is like you're hiring somebody to guide you.
Yeah.
And you're paying them a government salary every month, right? For 18 months because that's the length of your project between design and construction. How much money are you going to put away? Yeah, you get the point. So people see the bulk. I
understand exactly what you're saying, yeah.
People see the bulk. So I spend the time to explain why it is that amount.
That way, yeah.
And I said to them normally, I didn't create this. This is an established system that is there for architects and project managers in some instances. When you go St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, it exists.
But do most of your clients grasp that though?
They do. Most of them do, and you explain it to them, and then they will tell you, look, I appreciate it, I respect it. What? My budget doesn't allow for it. And it's at that moment I may give them an alternative. I say, look, okay, I may conceptualize the idea for you. Take it to this draftsman and let him develop it.
Okay.
So I've done the hard lifting already.
True.
Right? So
because
they
at the end of the day,
compromise.
you still want to help that person
I
and
try and
ensure
help
that they don't
people.
get robbed.
Right. So
And
I may tell them, okay, you can't hire the company. We have
Yeah.
ABST and these things, but call this guy, work out an hourly rate once a week, have him come and have a look
Yeah.
to protect you, because it's very difficult that you may not be able to pay several $1,000s to a professional. Fine. But your investment value is over $350,000.
Yeah.
Can you afford to lose that?
350. And a lot of people would take the risk of losing
Yes.
that. And that's why contractors around here, most
Then
contractors around here have
scrupulous
so much-
ones. Then scrupulous ones.
But saying all this, but okay, so just to go back. So you have the lead building, and then the second one is
It's it's called a net zero or a zero energy building. The designation is zero energy, meaning that it generates
self-sustainable.
it generates enough power to power everything in the building, from water pumps to cooking to air conditioning to lighting. Everything is solar powered.
Which is it's a good segue in the next question I had as well too, because again, I visited your show, couldn't stay too long, had a little things I had to move around.
Yeah, you came, chose some gasoline and left.
But and I have to come back though. I'm hoping. I was hoping this week, but again, some other
Don't
things
kill
happen,
yourself.
so-
We've been there. We'll be there.
No, definitely, and I'm a huge fan of the show as well too, the review show as well too. But I had a question for you in terms of sustainability, right? Because again, we're in a phase where everyone is having a conversation about it, and I know you're heavy on the sustainable building and
Development
and so on. Yeah, but the question I had for you is how good. Let's say we have sustainable infrastructure, but the mindset of the people is not at that level. How impactful will that sustainable development and
having sustainable infrastructure also includes people being a part of the process. So you can't really achieve it and then trying to go to the people with it.
Because I think what I'm thinking, because you're an architect, I'm just thinking about it from
no.
a construction standpoint.
The sustainability specialty includes beyond these things.
You have to be inclusive, taking into consideration.
So going back to the principle of sustainability, there are 3 pillars: society, the economy, and the environment. People, planet, profit. All right. So the society aspect is bringing people in as a part of the buy-in. So, for example, we had a town hall to discuss the university expansion.
Okay.
So they're informing people what is happening, get their feedback, get their buy-in, let them feel as if they're part of the process. They may have things that they can share that you can implement that is worthwhile.
Yeah.
In some contexts, getting local historical knowledge on an area is important because people have lived the experience. You just come, you don't know anything about the area.
That's true.
Right?
So when rain come, we go flood, how the water.
But beyond that is that
hill.
even the project itself doesn't negatively affect them and their livelihood. It is inclusive.
Correct. Yeah.
So by virtue of you accomplishing the societal pillar, you also are managing the economic pillar, so there's a return on investment on the project, that perhaps renewable energy is involved or systems that allow for proper return on investment.
Self-sustainable.
And then the footprint or the intervention of the project itself doesn't negatively impact the environment or you reduce the impact. So
as much as you can.
So it's balancing these 3 things out.
Yeah.
So by virtue of having a sustainable infrastructure being implemented, you are adding or basically accounting for these 3 things. And that, my friend, is not what's at play. So we're using the buzzwords
and not understanding.
But they don't really understand the core of it. Or if they do understand, it's difficult to achieve because something is going to get left behind because of expediency.
Because everybody want to get things done, and you don't know. Once government involved, you don't know.
I don't know about that part. You say that means.
If I want to, it will be PC, yo. We're talking about, but the goal is to move towards making sure that every project that you build, that you put down, is along the path of sustainability, right?
Even if it's not said,
Yeah.
The thought process going in is that because it's intrinsic now in my thinking. So I may not say, oh, this is a lead project or this got this recognition. It doesn't have to be that.
But some part of it, even if it's not 95%, 100%, at least 50% of it would be
something. Because let me give you a simple example. Couples come to me all the time, and I may say, okay, fine, you're just starting off with some place to live.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking about dream home, maybe you might want to do a duplex, so that you are in one part of the home, the other part is an income earner for you. And
save some money, get some expenses.
Right. And then when the family grows, perhaps that now can be a return on investment for you.
Sure.
So
use that duplex now to, you have 2 units, then 2 units one can pay for one, 2 duplex, another one can pay for your dream home.
Right. Or, for example, you do the house in such a way that if you need to add on to the house, it's not a major cost, but based on the design and how it's done.
Sure.
And that's another reason why, as a company policy, when people come to us, we ask for a credit limit. Like, have you gone to your financial institution and know how much you're going to get? And then when we know how much you're going to get, we don't want how much money because we are seeing dollar signs. We're trying to protect you here.
Just in
so
case
the bank says that you're good for 200,000. We're not going to design something for 300,000. We're going to design something for 180 to give you some wiggle room. Right? True. So that we protect you, and then we find the design as much as possible until it fits that profile, and then tell you go ahead.
But let me ask you this though, as an architect, how much did Cuba influence your style? I mean, you studied there.
What's the influence like?
Yeah, because having studied in Cuba, we see how how rich of a culture that place is.
The impact it had was learning how to use space effectively. That's the major impact.
Because they do well too,
Yeah.
As big as Cuba be,
Yeah. Using space, sometimes you get designs and there just seems like this endless amount of useless space.
Yeah.
The bedrooms in them just too big and the living room don't read right.
Unrealistic.
Yeah. No, I'm about space. It has to feel right. The proportions have to be in the right place. It just has to be an efficient layout for me. So that's a big thing about me.
And I'm the same way as well too, because I could tell you, having conversations with the other half about buildings and so on. Like, all right. That's cool. I was like, okay, walk me through this then. Okay, so now you in the bedroom and this happened. How fast you can get to that? Okay, so I'm going to go through this, that. Okay, think about it. You understand? So it kind of makes sense for
efficient use of space.
Because what I think happens is people see these Instagram videos and all these Pinterest and all these things, and it's like, all right, let's all put the house together.
Until they get the price.
Not only the price, they can afford everything, but when they get in there and they realize, okay,
it doesn't work. It don't work well.
Consider this.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do this.
But that's our job. You will be surprised to know all the different things we have to consider in designing a space properly.
And I tell people, as an engineer, the overthinking, it's hard to lock off the brain. Because
no, it doesn't. You
would design something right now today and think, yes. And then you go lie down and it's like, thank you, Jesus, I can sleep now.
And then it wakes you up.
You're like, yo.
I don't feel like I have a job, You know that?
For real?
No, I don't feel like I have a job.
Man.
I feel like I'm doing a hobby that's paying me.
When I had that feeling when I was working for the UN, bro. See that little innovation part that we had? And I'd wake, I had to go to work for 9 o'clock, bro. Sometimes 8 o'clock, me done up there, ready, boss, who come here today?
Let's talk about a more brighter side of things. I can't move on from that.
Like somebody robbed me. That is true. You don't know, it's life, Final question before we leave, and this is gonna be a recurring thing. I don't want it to make it seem like people get an understanding of who you are, what's your moral compass like, where you stand on. So from time to time, I'm gonna bring you in and I'll touch maybe 1 or 2 hot topics and so on. Presently, and this could be the first of many. Presently, the political arena in Antigua is very vibrant,
festive.
Yes, to put it in better words, people jumping from party to party, people talking about loyalty and blah blah blah. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. What do you think about first, they move with UPP, then they move from UPP to DNA, then they move from DNA to Labour Party, or they move with UPP and they move from UPP to DNA, or UPP to Labour Party, Labour Party to UPP. However it is. just to give a general thought, just to give a general, feel or how you feel about.
You want to know how I feel about?
No, honestly.
The jumping or politics? Which one?
A little bit of both. The jumping one, addressing the jumping one,
Mm-hmm.
and also addressing the political arena, the political sphere in Antigua, the political sphere in Antigua. So let's start with the jumping.
Do you change jobs if you don't think the place that you're being employed is giving you the opportunity to excel or increase your profile?
Listen, there was no question that me and you may agree on this point. You just may want to hear if you can articulate them better, because you don't know me very well.
Mm-hmm.
So me can tell you, as an Antiguan, you want to jump. See like how you articulate it. You were like, if you employ him, me not gonna say that. We can tell you straight up. If tomorrow I get up, I'm gonna want in a Labour Party, I want to go you people, I'm gone.
Here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword. Let me explain. So I do understand that one area or party may not give you the opportunities you look for.
Yeah.
Because you always have to ask the question, what is the end goal here?
Mm-hmm.
If the end goal is to serve the people,
in whatever capacity you can.
And I don't think I can serve the people where I am because I don't have the resources to serve the people where I am, then I need to change where I am.
Correct.
So let's start with that premise.
Some would push back against that and say, yo, why you don't bring more awareness or try to get the people in that same place
and I've seen situations where they have tried. But when you go to people with lofty ideas, intellectual propositions, and they have a light bill that they need to pay and they're not working, they don't hear that. Okay? So there is that. There is that.
Yeah.
And so jumping is not uncommon in politics.
Fair. That's true.
Generally. So let's start with that premise. Where I think the issue is, can people rely on you or think that you're trustworthy? And you cannot undervalue the importance of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are very aware and also appreciative of people who give you their word and can stick to their word.
Okay.
For good or for ill. So if they know that this is who you are, what you say is what you mean and what you mean is what you say, regardless of you being rambunctious or dictatorial or whatever, if they can depend on that, that's a serious amount of value that you put out there.
True.
Now, when you have a situation where you say all these bag of things about one person's company, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in that company working like nothing happened and it's just a regular day. That's where some people have some issues. So my thought process is in relation to politics generally in Antigua and the switching of sides, that anybody plans to switch sides always have to bear in mind that, yes, it's something that you should have the ability to do.
Yeah.
But know that people may not believe in you if you portray yourself one way and all of a sudden what you're saying doesn't match your actions. So they will take your money, but they won't believe in you. And belief is a big... No,
that happens often.
So what may end up happening is that they take your money, but you don't understand why you're not getting further in the polls. Remember Simon Sinek spoke about the golden circle. And
I don't have much.
Okay, fine. But even before that,
before
you sell somebody something, let them understand who you are, what you stand for.
That is true.
And that is why a lot of people ask me why I don't go in for politics, because they believe in the person I stand for. But I'm also aware that that is good and that's great. But if I can't get you a job to help you pay a bill and support your family, and someone else can, you're going to choose stability every time over this idealistic view that you could be pushing.
Okay. And that's one of the problems I have with politics today in Antigua as well too. Is nobody want to be real. Nobody want to come and say, yo, this is the position we're in. This is what I'm trying to do.
Because Tito, we cannot handle the truth. The truth is an ugly thing.
We know the truth. We discuss it in our little circles and our little groups. We know who the cabal are. We know who are part.
So let me give you another analysis.
So why are we not?
So let me give you another situation.
Yeah.
In a hit home that your woman will cheat until she tell you she cheat. You can figure it out, you know. You may
sometimes even if she tell you think she like.
Okay. So you have an idea that something will go on,
yeah.
and you may say, "Hey, something look fishy here." And she said, "Look,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna leave you because I don't think that you are satisfying me."
Yeah, true.
That hit home. It's the same situation like when somebody dies. Your loved one dies, you mourn, your grief. You see, when that grave go down in the ground, that's when most people can't handle it.
Sure.
Right? And this is the same with the truth. You may hear somebody take up money.
Yeah.
Or you may hear somebody's being dishonest. But until it hits you in the face.
I hit you where it hurts the most.
And the truth really comes out there.
Sure.
We can't. Let me tell you, a lot of the times we think that we can handle the truth, but the little that I've been exposed to, we sleep comfortable in the night because we really don't know the truth.
Ignorance is blissful. And undefeated too.
You know, Wise also said, so I'm a avid viewer of documentaries and historical occurrences and international affairs and so on.
Same.
You ever hear when they declassify some of these files and read out what happened, do you think the people at that time could detect that reality?
Facts.
No.
Even today in this world, even today in this era where we have so much access to information, people still are not. People hear them, process them, and be like, all right, it is what it is. Instead of actually picking up the phone and Googling.
The biggest thing for that, the biggest one on that, the admission that UFOs and aliens is a thing. And people like, all right, so who has the next sale on juice so I can get some because I'm having a party. Like people like whatever.
Yeah, man, that's the key.
You have an idea that admission that
but
is?
But you have to take it in consideration that they've
denied it.
Right, and so much propaganda around it to make it seem like it's not a thing. That no, it's actually their release document. People still think that it's propaganda. People still.
I don't see people thinking it's propaganda. I see people thinking, fine, we discussed this. It's exhausting. Does it impact on tomorrow? Who's going to go to the movies? Facts. No.
They had a whole series on the History Channel called Aliens.
It doesn't matter.
People made jokes for years about this.
So let's bring it back home to politics. It's the same thing, Tito.
Sure.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They come out, they tell us that the economy is growing, things are going well, whatever, and people like, okay. And they might come out and tell you tomorrow, look, fine, we were really trying our best to do things, but it's not, ladies and gentlemen, we're really in a bad state. We have to increase taxes. We don't have no money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have money. We don't even know how we're going to pay salaries next week. You think anybody want to hear that?
Yo, just make sure for me money and for me bank when month and come now. Problem rolling on the bus. That's how
with
people
great
move,
power comes great responsibility. And most often, just like how these superheroes, the metaphor of these superheroes hiding their identity is powerful, you know.
Let's not even go into that. Bro.
Oh, okay.
People don't understand this, and that's something like I always said. If I didn't study like engineering, but they probably take that part, the psychology part, because it's. We had a conversation just at last week.
Okay.
It's like some of these things right in front of our face, and
so herein lies my problem. I'm not a good liar.
Fair enough.
So
and you know, if you're being a politician, no, but you don't have to be a good liar for being a politician. Managing expectations, though. In order to manage expectations, you consider you have to lie.
You honestly think that there's any politician on this God earth that don't have to lie some point in time in their public career life because they don't think that the public can take the truth of the matter?
Facts. That's true.
Okay.
That's true. So is it... So, okay, so... But in some sense, it's still idealistic, though. Just on a different spectrum. Because we want an idealistic politician where them good and everything, but at the same time, we want an idealistic politician where when shit go wrong, keep that to yourself and figure them up on the back end just to make our way, you know what I go on.
According to the clinical psychologist, not clinical, I think she's a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
Esther Perel. She spoke about human beings and managing problems, and she spoke about the resolution of relationships is not about necessarily solving problems. It's about managing the paradoxes that exist.
I can understand.
And she was giving reference to what people want. So you may want spontaneity, you may want adventure, you may want excitement, but at the same time you want stability, you want support, you want presence. You generally don't get the same in the basket. So people want to be reassured, right? But people want the truth. But you have to manage that paradox, because if you tell them the truth and say, I'm going to reassure you that I'm telling you the truth may be as such that
they're not ready for.
Yes.
That is true. Because even it happened right now where you see certain things that happen and people are like, oh, how they gonna put on this here?
Look at our parents, Tito. You know this. Sometimes our parents do not know back then growing up how they were going to meet their expenses the next week. But they can't tell you the children. They can't tell you the children that.
That's true. The goal is to make sure that, you had the best life ever.
Partners, let me tell you something, right? And I've said it over and over. You see, women have a strength that I don't think men can even come close to in some aspects.
I respect.
In some aspects. I've never seen my mother wept after my father died. Never. Not even at the funeral when he was going down, she cried.
I see.
The day the man died, because he took a long time before he died, so I had to go to a hospital, walk with her from Hatton, go up Queen Elizabeth Highway, visit him, and I could smell his rotting flesh.
And them days they are Halberton.
So
your
he was deteriorating rapidly over the years, and then he came home, and he was on his bed, and I was a child, a little boy, so I was traumatized. I was right. And when he actually died that day, and she had to go and call the funeral home and so on, I didn't see her weep. And it's only years after we spoke, she said she didn't think that she could do it in front of us at that time because she had to be strong.
Did she ever though?
Yeah, she said she cried, but she cried when we weren't around.
Okay, fair
You understand? Because she had to try and be strong for us.
Raising boys at that as well too.
Okay, so there you go.
Man. So just to jump in again, we agree. As an Antiguan,
it's a double-edged sword. You should have the ability to
jump
because sometimes
without being judged.
You know what I like to ask? I like to ask this question a lot. A lot. You say you want to represent the people, but you also need to represent the best interests of the country.
Yeah.
The best for the many, even though the few may be disenfranchised as much as possible.
Yeah.
You are a policymaker. You're representing a constituency.
Yeah.
If your constituents are strongly opposed to something that your party, who is the ruling administration, is championing, you as a representative, where do you stand?
We stand with the people, always.
Do you think that's going to go down well with your party?
Yeah, that's for any problem.
So that means you're out of a job?
Oh, the people put me in?
Yeah, you're in parliament, but you're out of power, which means that you don't have power to execute what the people need because you don't have the resources based on our system. So
no, I do understand. I do understand that dynamic, right? At the end of the day, right? But
let me repeat myself.
I do understand. It's very difficult. I'm very in a difficult position to put myself in them. But if I had to make a choice, I'm always side with the people. Because at the end of the day, without them, no matter how much, we've seen it, bro. I can tell you there's politicians in Antigua that did well from a country standpoint, and then constituents suffer. From a country standpoint, what they for today? Then they ain't no sort of power. And they have people that no do not all for country, but do everything for constituency, and this for years. Reign supreme. You understand? So it has to be a balance. But at some point, the constituents put you in the power, bro. So you have to represent the people. And what the people tell you to carry parliament, you have to carry your parliament.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because at the end of the day, They chose you because we don't know, I understand everything, so we're leaning on your leadership and your understanding, but you have to have a balance. Hence why I come back down to saying this idealistic way of Antiguans doing politics. I have to try for a way for change that just a tad bit. I have can take some like.
You sure it's idealistic truth, or practical? It's a practical.
Man.
It's not idealistic.
You don't think so?
It's practical. If it was idealistic, we'd have debates.
That is true.
It's practical. Practical. Can you buy me drinks? Can you buy me drinks tomorrow? Can you help me pay my bills? I remember it was. I remember Dominica when there was a big laugh with the Prime Minister there was talking about the opposition leader staying at home and scratching his testicles. He wasn't doing anything. He was just staying home and scratching his testicles. He didn't say testicle. He said balls, actually. You understand? And people reacted to that. People, it was entertainment. Politics for us is entertainment.
In Antigua.
Yeah. It's entertainment.
And the wider Caribbean as well.
Yeah, it's entertainment. It's a lot of entertainment.
So at what point do we move away from that and get to like...
I think it's going to eventually happen, especially the university being here. Because what is going to happen is that the number of persons who are educated in the country is going to go up. You
assume that?
No, I know this.
I'm telling you, from being in a country where the level of education is high.
Still happening?
According to them, is high. Trust me see some things that now in a small 268 Antigua, we never see something like that in Antigua.
No, I still think so.
No, I do agree. No, that's why I keep saying no. Colin, again, I agree. Everything you're saying, I do agree. But you've seen examples of in other countries where it just don't work. Because for me, again, I champion it because I felt like, listen, a lot of persons can't afford to like go to any one of these other countries. So if I can take on 1, 2, if I have to take 10 years to get on bachelor's, at least it's there. I can figure them out.
I tend to have a big goat mouth, so I'm using it. The university in a decade or two is going to change things here.
Again, I agree.
The discourse is going to change
and
too.
The people that they have there as well too. I believe in these people as well.
The discourse is going to change. I believe, honestly, eventually we're going to get to political debates too.
Well, last election they wanted to have one.
Okay. Would mudslinging stop? No, because it's entertainment. Don't get me wrong.
But in the big countries, it happens as well.
The only thing that is constant in this life is change.
Change, that's true.
So it will change. It will change. Now, people may get sophisticated with one in their bubble because now the white collar crime gone to a different level. I point this out particularly for the reason that people said, don't fool yourself. The US of A, in all of their glory, their white collar crime will make you cry. Because look at certain presidents who would tell you that they use the tax system as it exists and find a way to maneuver around. It takes intellect to do that.
And yet still everybody still say the man don't.
Okay. No. He hired people as well. He's smart enough to get the right people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So things will change. So you may not get the traditional person in the street who brawling and the expletives and you may not have that. You may have a different form of that.
True.
But it will change.
And again, it makes it harder for the so-called white-collar criminals in them not just simply just right off the top on $2,000 project, all right, $1,000 for me, I figure them out. With no pushback. No, as the society get more educated, you got to figure out a more conniving way to take this $1,000.
But not just that too.
And you got harder too.
More than likely, what may end up happening is that, okay, we've done this before, and it didn't work like this. Let's figure out a way to actually get the project done, but still benefit from it.
That's true. So if let's say, okay, $2,000 for the project, hey, get that stuff done, but me want like a $2,000 onto $100 for that. So figure out the one way to get this done and actually get me $100. And the people benefit at the same time. You study. For one thing I can say with you, right? For one thing I can say with you. You walk on a very fine line.
It's a dangerous line.
I'm trying, like, I would like to spend a day in your field, like, with you just to try to figure out. Because I think you have some skills that, because where I feel is that at times, for me, it's the when or where.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you bother me now, I need to say so no.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't necessarily need to say so right then and there. Because at the end of the day, not because you're right, that means everybody, you must go and blast it on everybody. You know, because actually sometimes you get more resistance that way. You know.
I'll tell you a funny story. You say you're not on social media right now as much,
Not
right?
heavy, yeah, no.
So I'm heavy on there almost all the time, as you
Facts.
know, right?
Once I click that Facebook app, you have a
Exactly.
pop-up.
I am what Zuckerberg is doing to y'all.
What?
Social programming.
Oh.
When you must
Not y'all, to them.
No, you
But
must
in a very positive way.
Yeah, but you must know who I am.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I post so constantly, so consecutively, and the content is a particular way that you're going to know who I am.
Fair enough.
Right, fine. So that's marketing without spending money.
That's true.
Fine. But going back to social media and what you just said a little while ago, I have a lot of persons who engage in conversations on my page.
Yeah, your engagement ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't really shun people easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have some wild comments in the page. If it's how should I put it? If it's offending, I will hide it.
Okay.
But generally, I allow people to speak and have a conversation, right?
Safe space. So
no, that's safe space. But what I've recognized is over the years, it was in a weird way training for me, because you want to tell the person where to park themselves, and but you recognize that if I go at them that way, it has a particular reaction.
True. So
you start to change how you engage them, how you speak to them. And what I've recognized is it sharpened my diplomatic skills without even being trained.
Interesting.
So I would hear things in rhetoric that's outlandish, and I learn how to manipulate or respond to it in a way that doesn't come off adversarial.
Sometimes even quell the whole situation as well.
Thank you very much. So I will shut down a conversation before it begins. So, for example, if I'm responding to something that could be potentially controversial, I would maybe take your point, agree to it, but then explain why the disagreement comes in and then come back to the agreement. So by the time you're ready to respond, there's nothing to respond to.
Fair enough.
I've done it enough time that I've learned how to do it effectively. So
I know how to when.
So sometimes when the conversation it almost goes south, I'll come in and shut it down.
Because for me, I could do that like if we're having a one-on-one or in a group setting. It's very easy for me to just change the dynamic of the whole conversation. Not like cool.
No, I change the dynamic, you know. No. If we're discussing something, I pick out the positives, the negatives, and address them in a response. So I acknowledge and recognize your point of view and share another point of view and another point of view, and then come back to a conclusion. So by the time you respond, the most you can say is, I get your point.
True. Because it's already been said.
Right.
So you just sound like you repeat yourself, and then people could be like, okay.
Yeah.
You just
exactly. But I did not come overnight. That was something that I learned over years of interacting with various people. And sometimes, like I said, you're upset, but you learn, okay, this is a space. I didn't say do not comment. They commented because it's there. So for you to go at them because they say something that you may not like is kind of like a cop-out. So you have to start to learn, how do I address this without sounding like an idiot? And then you learn. No, I'm not saying that's a formula for anybody.
Sure.
But this is something that I got. So just the same with my public speaking abilities. I didn't go to Toastmasters or had any formal training or anything. But I'm a student of observation. So I would wash dishes and watch TEDx.
Yeah.
For example, or watch other programs and historical discussions. I learn and hear how they pace their words.
Yeah, for me as well, to podcasts, a lot of podcasts.
Okay, great.
I'm a huge follower of Simon Sinek and all these things.
And then if you can talk to kids in secondary school and hold their attention, that's practice. So imagine I've been doing that since 2006. So now when I have public forum speaking activities, I do not get nervous at all. No matter the forum, no matter the size, no matter who I'm speaking to.
Almost 20 years, bro.
Oh, thank you.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That is great. Because even for me, I listen to a lot of Joe Budden podcasts as well too. A lot of people be like, "Yo, this man," but sometimes if you hear this man talk, right, you'll be like, "Man," like sometimes I listen, that man chat pure crap. Let's be clear. Talk about the culture in America in terms of hip hop, all of that. But just the way how we set up, just the way we start his podcast, just the way how we set up on, like, if you get a story, because his podcast are 3 hours. So you know, he have a, sometimes nothing ever talk, but we have a stretch them out. And the way how we do that masterfully, I was like,
I think I have that ability as well. And you know why?
I've seen it in action.
I'm going to share something with you. Because even my wife and I had a discussion last night for 2 hours, just me and her.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And she's not accustomed to radio. I am. So I had to lead the discussion.
Okay.
And she was great, actually. Sometimes she led the discussion. But let me tell you, to do that, you have to understand that it's a dance. But beyond the dance, conversation and words are like music. They're music. So can you string this along so that it musically moves? And that's how I view conversations and interactions at this level. It's a musical score that you're repeating, that you are expressing. So there are highs and there are lows. There's the beginnings and there's the sort of like the high part of the note, and then you come back down. It's a musical expression.
Sometimes you have to lead the sound, let the sound breathe a little bit, and not too much words. And
so if you understand that you're not just speaking, but you're expressing your ideas as a form of a piece of art that you are trying to impart on somebody to understand and to appreciate, then it changes how you speak entirely.
True.
And this is coming from somebody whose average of English was 28% in secondary school.
You wild.
I'm telling you.
That's true. I mean, no, I do understand. I do agree. And
it's a dance.
The conversation,
it's a dance.
The back and forth, allowing somebody else to take lead, and then
because look at how long we've been talking. Just you and I.
That is true. I mean, this is some natural for the 2 hour, bro. I can talk for hours. I mean, but you don't know. Allow you to get back home to
cinnamon.
See, because cinnamon we send a diss track you. And
she send it
your way, you don't know 1 or 2 pieces of words.
And I am tired too, because
I'm gonna want to get no problem.
We've been at the podcast until midnight, then we got up, we went to the gym together. We do a lot of exercising. Nice. She was doing some squats. And I was at the back cheering her on.
Make sure you know.
Yeah.
What you call it, the spotter.
Nah, I wasn't the spotter. She trains, I observe and do my little thing on the bicycle. And then of course swimming, and then we went back in the afternoon for the review.
So that's what I want you to do. I want you to plug that show and also the show for Cinnamon. So you have the review show with
so the review show is on WTP 93.5 FM.
Right.
And there are 4 of us. Right. All 4 of us are equal in the democracy of the show. So there's Glenn Toussaint, Chantel Percival, and Naik Phillip, and myself, Colin John Jenkins. We, from 3 until 5 p.m., we talk about topical issues, what's trending in entertainment on Saturdays only for now.
Right. Yeah.
What's happening in entertainment, movies and films, because, that's major discussion point about films, why they work, why they don't, why is Disney crashing. We talk about all of that kind of stuff.
Why everybody's pushing that Mr. Beast take over Disney.
Oh Lord. So there's that, and then we also have the Colin and Cinnamon show.
Nice.
We had a premiere, so we're still kind of working out when exactly we're going to do it, how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But that had a really
the premiere
good,
was successful.
It was successful. We had a lot of people who enjoyed it. I didn't expect it, considering how late it was.
Come on, bro.
I'm telling you, it's Friday night. People sometimes gone on the bar. Some people gone out.
Because of the position and the night.
Yes.
But not because of the two talents.
No.
Okay,
because, for example, it's from 10 until 12.
Okay.
And people's tired after the long week. If they're not out relaxing, they're probably home watching Netflix.
True.
And we still had a good uptake. I think it had to do with the promo video, but anyway. And then there's
go to Colin John Jenkins page on Facebook.
Yeah, but tell you. And then we're looking at Let's Start Construction again in January. And that is just to give people who are journeying, whether it's construction or trying to get something designed, all of the things they need to consider. And that has been a very popular show because we bring people in who are experts in surveying, engineering, construction law, interior designing, graphics, plumbers, electricians, AC people.
Yeah.
We have had the first season that was very successful. That's hosted by Senator Rod and Turner. I'm the co-host on that one.
Nice.
So I don't know where I get the time, but maybe because I'm a project manager, I find the time. And I have a good support system as well.
Yeah,
and I believe in
very
partnership.
important. Yeah, man.
Partnership.
Yes.
Partnership.
I do believe in that as well too. And then because of social media, everybody wants to be this, do it themselves.
Nah, bro.
One team.
No. I'm not about that life. I want to sleep. I want to watch Netflix. I want to eat popcorn. I want to go and ride my bicycle. All I need to know is that you are being, and that's the thing about me. You want $5 to do this? Can you assure me you're going to meet the deadline?
Facts.
Yes. Okay, here's your $5.
But you see, this is the thing, and we get in on this, right? This is the thing, right? I am the same as well too. I'm just not in the position to actually pay, right?
The pay is not coming from me.
No. Either way, because me can't pay myself. So how am I gonna pay you? You understand?
Right.
And even if I get money, and I can say, hey man, I'll pay myself, I'm gonna pay you.
Mm-hmm.
There's still no money coming in, right? But I think also it's hard to get, for me personally, it's hard to get people to buy into a vision where they can benefit from. Because I see the talent, I'm gonna tell you, yo, bro, rock with me, I'm gonna get you where you need to go. Even if I have to sacrifice myself, but just get me to help me get where I need to
Don't worry about that, Tito.
Yeah.
You work at it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Be very mindful that where I am now wasn't always where I was.
That is true. You had to start somewhere.
You're talking about 18 years of work.
So you know, it'll happen overnight.
Thank you very much. Please, thank you. 18 years of work.
Hard work. That's true.
Should I repeat that?
You should probably.
All
18 years. Because that's the thing now too. Everybody want everything come fast overnight and so on.
Some people see me pop up on the scene. Who's this guy all of a sudden? Like
the nerve.
Like what is he doing? Which association he's a part of? He could not possibly do this by blood, sweat, and tears. Oh, really?
You don't know how you can come. They can say you're part of this, you're part of that.
Right, but I'm not part of anything.
Yeah.
A friend of mine very long time ago said, look, I see potential in you.
Mm.
Don't get consumed into any of these organizations. Let your shine be that one that's outside of it. And he wasn't saying that to throw shade on organizations because they have a place in society. But
yeah,
I think his concern was, and it was just a general concern, that sometimes you can do more as an individual on your own terms than being part of an organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can do a lot in organizations, but because you don't generally have the individuality and you're conforming to a structure, you may not be able to do certain things that you want to do. That's all. And I think that is my part, to be honest.
Nice. Colin John Jenkins?
Yes.
Thanks for coming through, bro.
I'll sleep well tonight.
Big facts. Dan TV. Out.
Okay. Yo,